Om Shri Sai Ram, offering my most humble salutations at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagawan, Sri Satya Sai Baba. Dear brothers and sisters, it's my pleasure to bring you another episode of his story through the eyes of his boys. And today we will look at so-called extracurricular activity called the dramas, how this supreme divine director has used drama to not only teach us values and the way to live, but has shown us an extension of his own life in using the drama to create divine memories for us. So, as we normally practice, we will start with prayer, and I request you to please join me. O Lord, take my love and let it flow in fullness of devotion to Thee. O Lord, take my hands and let them work incessantly for Thee. O Lord, take my soul and let it be merged in one with Thee. O Lord, take my mind and thoughts and let them be in tune with Thee. O Lord, take my everything and let me be an instrument to work for Thee. Bhagawan started his formal journey into the educational arena in 1962 by inaugurating and launching what he called as Ved Shastra, Sri Satya Sai Ved Shastra Pathshala. Sri Satya Sai Ved Shastra Pathshala was focused on reviving and restarting the Vedic knowledge and those great scriptural gems for the benefit of the mankind. Interestingly, within 2 months, he came into the class and he said, let me show you how to teach and make it interesting for the children. And he wrote a play. He himself used to write plays in those times. In the childhood, we know the stories of Bhagawan that he used to not only write but enact it out himself. But here, he wrote the play and gave it to the children and allocated a role, each role for everybody. They copied and practiced. Over the years, Bhagawan has used this formula for all the generations. And through that play, he integrated whatever was to be taught in the Ved Pathshala into the play. And that way, he made it learning with fun. Today's education policy actually demands that. Today, educationists are really working out and promoting a method of teaching which is more fun, playful, which Bhagawan had introduced in 1962. And from then onwards, he has done many plays. Initially, he used to write, then he inspired his students, his boys to write. And he would show the glimpses of his divinity by inspiring them and showing them that he is giving the thought, he's energizing them, he's directing it, he's to come for the practices, and then he would enjoy as a guest watching that offering. So today we have a pleasure of listening to one era, listening to our boys, students, alumni of 90s, if I may put it, late mid 90s onwards, who have lived through Bhagawan till the end of his physical sojourn. And they had the privilege of being called as drama boys, dance boys. So today we will hear the stories of their learning, their insight into this beautiful journey of dramas with the avatar. So let me have the pleasure of introducing them to all of you. So we have brother Sri Ranganath Raju. We have brother Umar Ali.
Sairam.
And we have brother Jagadish Chandra.
Sairam.
Sairam brothers, and welcome to this beautiful episode of His Story Through the Eyes of His Voice. Let me take this pleasure of introducing you one by one. Little bit of introduction, not much, so that the audience gets to know who are we talking to. So, brother Ranganath Raju, he's he was the first. I would say he was in the Prashantanilayam. He started from 11th grade in the higher secondary school in Prashantanilayam, and then he went on to do his masters in economics, and then he finished his MBA in 2007. Presently, he's a director in a company called Sanatan Analytics. Sounds very spiritual and IT. He's based in Belampalli. So, welcome, Brother Raju. Thanks for accepting the invitation.
Sairam, brother.
Next, we have Brother Umar Ali. His full name is Umar Ali Nagoor Saheb Shaik. Brother Umar Ali, he's in Bangalore. He works as a senior software engineer. He's with IBM right now. And he joined our institution in 2005, came to do his graduation, and then went on to do his master's and MTech actually. That is fantastic, MTech in computer sciences. And presently he's in Andhra Pradesh. So welcome, Brother Umar Ali. Thanks. Nice to have you in the show.
Sairam, brother. Swami's grace.
Thank you. And last but not the least, we have Jagadish Chandra Saraswatulu. Brother Jagdish is a principal engineer in semiconductor R&D at Carl Zeiss. He's based in Singapore, and he was in Perthi in its institution from 2000 to 2010. Brother has done his BSc honors, and he finished his PhD, and then he has worked around, and then now he's in Singapore presently. So, Brother Jagdish, welcome and thank you for accepting.
The pleasure is all mine, brother. Thank you so much for having me here. Sairam.
Thank you very much, all of you. So, as our normal practice, we would like the audience to hear something from your side as an introduction. So, let me ask Brother Raju if he can start off by sharing with us, a little bit about yourself, how Bhagawan really introduced himself to your family and to you. Brother Raju.
Sairam, brother, I have nothing much to share, just that the Lord has been kind. My father was attracted by Swami's philosophy of seva. And my grandfather, who happens to be a very good poet, he had come once to Parthi with some poems written, unanswered questions. Each poem was dealing with one particular question about where do we come from, what is the purpose of life, where do we go. And in discourse, picks up exactly these three topics and then talks about each line and gives a beautiful answer. At the end, he says, some poets have come and they can go with their question answered because I am the answer of all questions. That hit him so hard that he came back and he forced my father to go for doing seva. My father, when he came to Swami, was so attracted, so enamored by Swami that he wanted to be associated with Swami for a lifetime. And once my grandfather was reading out a poem in which Swami says, my breath is my students, my property are my students. And then he said, I want you to be worthy of that title. Somehow you have to get that. That somehow hit me strong. I've applied in 11th. Swami's grace, kindness, his compassion, he allowed me to be his student from then on. Life has been a great.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brother Raju, and we will look to hear more from you. And I'm sure you have a treasure of stories to tell us. So let me request now, Brother Umar Ali, if you can share us, brother, how did your journey to Bhagawan started?
Sairam all. So till 2005, Swami decided so he was hiding from our family. So you can say that it was like a Krishna and Gopikas how they play, right? When Krishna decided that yeah, this is the time I should give darshan to Gopikas. So like that in 2005, Swami decided that okay, let me get my child close to me. So I'm really blessed to become first member from my family to be part of Swami's institute. So in 2005, I just got to know through one of my close friend that he's applying for Swami's institute for BSc. Then I just got to know that it is near Bangalore. So I said, okay, even I will apply, because not because it's Swami's institute, just because it's near Bangalore. So I thought, okay, let me go there and then roam around and come back. So that's the big trigger from my side. But Swami has his own plans. So he showed that free education as what you call the Krishna and Yashoda. Yashoda show the what is that
Butter.
butter, right? So in one hand she shows the butter, and another hand she will hold the stick. So like that, Swami was showing me that Swami was showing me that free education, and he was holding the actual whatever he wants to teach me. So in another hand. So that's why I just got to know about Swami, and I landed up. I should not say I landed up. He got me to Patti. So that's where it started with.
Wonderful. So you came only to get a free education, which was available there.
Yeah, that was the bond written between Swami and me. Swami, I'm coming just for education. Swami said, okay, come, I will teach you what I need to teach you, what you need.
But how did your parents agree to send you to an environment?
Yeah, it was a bit tough because it was totally Hindu culture. So, but I'm totally from the Islamic culture. So initially we went to our mosque, and then I took permission saying that I'm just going only for the education. So once that is done, I'll come back, and I'm sure that I'll promise I will not get converted, or I will not get adapted to their culture. So that was the bond between me and the mosque people. So it was like a two bonds, one between Swami and me, telling that Swami, I'm coming for free education. He said, okay, come, I will give you. Then I myself and then most people had another bond saying that I'm just going there, I will not get converted. So based on this, I just came there.
Wonderful. So you had, on one hand, you had the free education, and other hand, you had the commitment from your folks that you will remain a better
Same.
and safe. Okay, excellent. I would like to dig you more and try to get more stories from you, but let me ask Brother Jagdish to introduce himself and tell us about him. How did
Yeah,
your journey start with Bhagawan, and when did it start?
yeah. Sairam, everyone. This is a very beautiful and very memorable question in some form, because I was fortunate enough to be born in a family where I happened to be the fourth generation Swami's devotee. So the first person to have come. In fact, we were in Madhya Pradesh. When my great grandmother went to Swami's for its first darshan in 1960s, and then it was my grandfather, then my mother, and then me. So it's basically from my mother's side. So my maternal great grandmother was the first person to have come to Swami's fold, and that is how Swami actually probably chose to answer their prayers and inducted me in through a very strange way, that he came in my dream and asked me to apply. And I said, Swami, will you give me a seat? And he said, you are already selected, sir. And that's how the journey began. And it was not very easy. I became overconfident, and I thought all is done, everything is hunky-dory. I apply, I come, and my name is not there in the final list. I clear the written, the interview, everything. And then I decided I'm never going to look at Swami's face again in my life. And I go back with that resolve. But then just next year, when I have decided that I'm not going to come back to Parthi or anywhere at all, anywhere close to that place, he just gives a stern look, as if like turning away his face from me, and he walks away. And that was an indication enough that he was upset that I'm not applying. So that was the last day, in fact, of the form's closure, the last date for getting a form, and contacted somebody in a hurry, got one form, and this time he allowed. So he played a bit of hide and seek, the way Umar was describing just now, with me as well. And he leveled all of us when we got in some form or the other. But I'm grateful to him eternally for giving this opportunity to become his own in some sense. Yes, that was my story.
Wonderful. It's very interesting to note that all of you have, come. Of course, Jagdish had a little background from his grandmother, so you had a kind of a, knowledge. Ranga's father was introduced, but not much interaction. So, Ranga, did you decide to study, or your father said you should come here and study? Raju is still there? I think Raju's screen is frozen. So let us go to Omar till then. I think we can message him to say that, let me, okay. So Omar,
Yeah, brother.
when you came to Parthi to give your written exam, how was your first impression about the whole environment?
Yeah, so in 2005, so along with me, total 26 boys came to Parthi to read, to give an entrance exam. So out of 26, 25 boys are going to darshan and participating in bhajan. But one boy is just going around Parthi and looking at people, and he was feeling something different, right? Like people are just bowing down and then doing namaskar, singing something, okay, all those things, and they would keep saying Sairam, Sairam for everything. So I was keeping my luggage near somewhere, so they say Sairam, please keep it aside. So if I'm going and leaving my chappal somewhere, Sairam, it is not the place to keep. So for everything they're using the prefix Sairam. I was thinking, what is this Sairam? Okay, let them use, fine. So then that day night we went to room. So everyone was preparing because they know the value of Swami's institute, so they were preparing. But I was just sitting and then enjoying the environment. I was enjoying the climate. Then next day we had entrance exam, so we went there. And what happened, so I have written the exam and I just came back, I just left. So early morning, next day morning, 5 o'clock, one of my close friend, he got up and he went to institute, and he got to know that I got selected. So he immediately came back and he said, he woke me up and said, dude, get up, you got selected. So I just listened that, I just slept back, thinking that what I do with that. So I'm not at all interested. I just came here to roam around, but he's telling you got selected. So around 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, I just got up. As usual, what I do at home. So 10 o'clock, I got up. I went to South Indian canteen. It was closed. So they said that this is not the right time to come. But there I saw there is a board. And in that board, I saw my name. Okay, fine. My name is there. Then like, what's next? So they said that today afternoon, 3 o'clock, you have an interview. I said, interview? What is interview? Dude, I don't know anything about this. Then I was just looking around. I thought, okay, let me know what is this place and what is this Sai Baba all about. Then I went to one of the Sevadar. I asked, can you tell me something about Sat Sai Baba? So he said, okay, his name is Sat Sai Baba. Okay, his father is so and so, mother is Yeshurama, born in 1926, something so and so. So some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points he told. Okay, I just listened that. So I went to interview. 3 o'clock, I went to interview. There I saw Ganesha, standing Ganesha. Okay, he was on a single leg. So I was staring at him and thinking, I know Ganesha, but what is this Ganesha? He was in a different posture here. But I saw that everyone was coming and then going, doing namaskar and then going. Okay, so a lot of fear inside me because the first time I'm attending interview. So what I did, okay, let me go also just do some namaskar so that I will get some courage, some strength to face big audience, right? So I just went and did Ganesha. I don't know anyone here. Okay, my parents are not here. My friends already left because they have not selected. Okay, and even I have the language problem here. So please take care. If you're a god, please take care. So I just said that and went inside. So the first question, Gokak sir. So he was the VC that time. So the first question, what do you know about Sat Sai Baba? So it was like essay question, whatever you thought it came. I just went for that. I point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all. So they thought I know everything about Swami. So I was.
So whatever you heard from the Sevadal, you repeated here.
Exactly. No swapping of points even. So the first, okay, his name is Satsai Baba. Second point, his parents are so and so, born in so and so. That's all done. So I thought, okay, I'm done with the first question, so I'm comfortable. So that's how it went on.
Raju, you also are from a typical Andhra place, and you also had a language issue. So how was your first impression of the campus?
It was overwhelming. I would say it's something that I have never seen or imagined. That's the first time that I ever crossed out of Bellampalli and I'm staying in a hostel which has 600 people and more than 200 rooms. I come from such a background that in our town, it's a tier 6 town on census. In our town, we do not have those flush toilets where, I don't know how to even flush a toilet, to be honest. In the school hostel, which Swami had got it built, I was quite embarrassed to ask anyone, because I just wanted to keep up that image that I know something, and I'm amongst those English speaking boys. So that night when my father was leaving, that's the first day my father dropped me and he was leaving, and I was crying looking at him from the window. And behind comes the warden and says, "Don't worry, this place is Swami's place. Swami is a mother, father. Don't worry. Swami is there with you." So looking at that photo with that thought in my head saying that, "Swami, if you are my mother and father, Sai Baba, if you are my mother and father, do take care of me. I am just totally overwhelmed with this place. Just help me out." And I kind of slept away. In the dream, Swami comes, Swami holds me with his finger, he takes me to each and every room of the hostel, introduces me to all the students and also particularly to the teachers. And he tells them he is so and so, he is Ramon Rao, he is Venkateshwarlu, gives them by name. And I come from a family which has a lot of cows and buffaloes, there's a lot of cattle, so I used to like curd and milk. So he takes me directly to kitchen, and then he opens that freezer and he shows me there's a huge barrel of that basin of milk. And he showed me, said, "See, there's a lot of milk here, don't worry, and you get a lot of curds." And then in an instant, we appeared in front of Swami's car. For me, those days, Swami was a great sannyasi because he owned a maroon BMW. That's my single. So we appeared right in front of his car, and then he asked me to go around the car and look at it. This completely the dream. So I was going
Wonderful.
to the car, and as I looked at, I was looking so deeply, so closely into that logo. Then he asked me a question. He said, "How is the car?" I said, "Swami, it's very, very nice." That's the dream. I got up. So I thought that's the usual way that Swami Sai Baba, being a special sannyasi, he has a special way of orienting new boys. So that day, while we were having breakfast, we got an intimation that Swami is coming. Swami just passing in front of the
So
hostel.
you got an orientation in the dream by
Yes,
Bhagawan himself.
yes.
So your
So we
welcome
ran
and induction program was done by the Lord himself in the dream.
His grace, yeah.
That's
So
fantastic.
we
I
just ran
believe
out
you
of
had,
the hostel, and
you wanted
then
to finish that.
yeah, I'll just finish this. We ran out of the hostel, and car was approaching me, being of short stature. I was just trying to get a peek of what Swami is, how Swami looks, and someone from behind with a lot of enthusiasm pushed me, and directly I went and fell on Swami's bonnet, the car's bonnet. I was so lost in the car, in the bonnet, because that was the same car, same logo that came right in my dream last night. And then the driver honked. The Padmanabhan sir honked. I just realized that I'm amidst the people. I got up, came back. Swami's car came in front of me. Swami then lowered the window with his little finger of the left hand, and he looked at me with his corner of his eye and said, "How is the car?" That's the same question he asked me in the dream. I said, "Swami." Then he stopped and said, "No, Kadu, he's very, very nice." Same statement that I made the previous evening. And that very, very nice opened up a different world to me from that day.
Beautiful. It's like what a way to orient somebody who is fresh. Jagdish, since you had a little bit of background and you have attended Balvikas also, how was your reception? What kind of environment you entered into? People, place. How did you find it?
So the biggest and the most beautiful transformation for me was that Swami, who was probably a 1.5 feet by 2 feet photo frame for me, became the real God in front of whom I sat when it was Vrindavan or it was Prashanti Nilayam. That photograph became a real entity for me. That was the most beautiful experience. Imagine that same static photograph, suddenly you can see him putting beat to the music, shaking his head, waving his hand, and he's right in front of you. That was an exhilarating experience for me from that perspective. But more importantly, at that point in time, we had already heard that how beautiful the institution is, the way the interaction with Bhagawan goes on, the value-based education that is so so importantly and beautifully imparted in the institution, and Swami being the center of everything. So from that perspective, it was for me, I was literally stepping into the heaven. And it definitely, the feeling only got enhanced with every passing day once I stepped in. And it is something very beautiful. A lot of dreams coming true, a lot of promises that Bhagawan made coming true. Yes.
What do you think, like, especially Omar and Raju, when you come from such a small places, very humble beginning, and the hostel being an international hub kind of, you have students from all over the place, and obviously everybody speaks only English. So it can be, as you rightly say, it can be overwhelming. But how do you find your friends and your seniors, especially your senior boys in the hostel? How was their reception? How did you find them?
So,
Yeah, so you are, if you're particular about the seniors of our hostel, they were very kind, very compassionate. My classmates too were, the roommates were, especially, I mean, they continue to be in touch even to this day. We have, in fact, very close friends, probably as dear or probably more dear than our own brothers by blood. Those first few days were quite tough for me, and I can never forget that day when I was not able to speak a word, where I was to describe a kite flying in the sky. So Mr. Sir asked me, how to describe a kite flying in the sky. I just got up and said Tata. What I meant is actually a kite is fluctuating in the sky. So he asked me to go out and stand. So such an insulting experience that I went out and stood. And I was holding the grid and crying that Swami, Sai Baba, that was my fourth day in the school. That Sai Baba, it's not just the seniors and juniors, but the teachers especially, I would say. They had a tremendous impact, and that compassionate heart, and probably, they're the living sages. So I was crying, and then Mr. Sir comes to me. He puts his hand on my shoulder and then tells me in my ear, saying this is my promise to you, boy, that by the time you go from this university, you will have one of the wonderful Englishes that this university can provide. And I'm sure Brother Jagdish can recollect in 2007 when we were asked to write a drama. Swami was so impressed with the dialogues, and he asked four of us to come forward. He said, "Who wrote these dialogues?" And four of us, me, Jagdish, two more brothers, we went forward. And I was first among those four. Swami looked at me, and in that look, I just went back to that moment where I was standing outside the class without a word in English.
So I will just add on to this. It's not just that drama. He scripted a battery of dramas, and mind you, all the dramas that we put forth were in English. Of course, he is a master in Telugu. It's a different story altogether. I wouldn't even qualify myself to speak about it, but at least the English part, Raju wrote so many wonderful dramas. In fact, were appreciated by one and all. And I think that is a testimony to that particular episode with Mishra sir that he's talking about. It's really beautiful.
I think that is like a foundation. It becomes a foundational experience. It's beautiful. Absolutely. Omar, how about you? How was your adjustment? Because you came literally from a different environment. What were if you have to list you down, list me the main challenges you had.
Yeah, brother. The first day still I remember. So when I entered hostel the first day, so the first person I met was our sir, Nagesh sir. So he wrote one chick saying that room number B10, and he called one of the boys. So he was my senior. So he said, take him to B10. So he took my luggage, right? So I was thinking, who is this guy taking away my luggage, right? So then he told, don't worry, I am part of this hostel. So please come with me, I will take you to room. So he was carrying my luggage, and I was just walking behind him. So he was asking me so many questions, like, do you know singing? Okay, or do you know dancing? You learn singing because Swami likes singing. So he will give chance for bhajans. So he was telling a lot of things, but I was not able to understand anything. So only thing I was doing, just nodding my head and saying that yes, absolutely sure, right? So these are the three words I was keep using. Then we went to our room. Then even while having food, or even if I want to have water, so I was not able to ask anything. So I was like, water, so water, food, so time, like that. So these are the signs I was using, right? Because I know Hindi, but I am not sure whether the other person knows Hindi or not. I'm not sure. So if I want water, so water. So food time, kitna baje, food time kitna baje. So like that, I was just signing. So even I remember one incident in my first BSc, where as part of our English classes, right? So we need to go on stage and then speak something for 10 minutes. So their teachers were so helpful. So what happened? I went to stage. So I was so nervous. So I was not able to speak anything. Then what happened? My teacher told, you speak in Telugu, then I will translate into English. So I just want you to stand on stage and then face audience. So that was the words, that was the encouragement the teachers gave in to me. So in that institute. So still I remember even today when in IBM, so whichever wants to present, so the first my technical lead select me or me along with one more person. So say that Umar, you just go and present it. So these are the few things which we can learn in the film shoot. So a lot of encouragement even from the seniors, teachers. So it was amazing, brother.
Beautiful. So
Yeah.
let me come to the main point, why we all go there. Unlike Omar, who went for education, but most of us go for only Swami. And today, Omar has surpassed all of us in that manner. But it'll be nice to hear your stories. What was your first remembrance, the first interaction with Bhagawan as a student? After you became a student, do you recall your interaction with Swami?
So I'll take this question first. So it was
Yes.
the year 2000, the year of the summer course. So there were many summer courses, but for me it is memorable because when I joined, stepped in, that was the year of the summer course. And the day was announced that Swami was to come to the dining hall to have a lunch session with the boys. And all the new incumbents were all asked to go and occupy their seats first. And we all, went and sat and occupied our places. And that is the desire in every heart at that point in time, that Swami should come to my row or come in front of me or talk. That is there in everyone's heart. And as I was having the same feeling, no different from others, I see Swami making a cut and coming into my line. And he walks all the way and he stands right in front of me. Just imagine it. Just each and every thought of yours keeps coming true. What more can you ask? And he just looks at me. And the first thing he tells me is, "Itna pickle khayega?" And I didn't even look at my plate. The euphoria was such that Swami is coming. And that Swami is telling me, "Itna pickle khayega?" And that is
Will
when
you
I
eat
look
so
at
much of pickle?
no, I will you eat so much of pickle? And I look at my plate and I realize that somebody might have served pickle with the curry ladle. So instead of, you typically serve it with a spoon. So there was a amount of pickle in my plate and I didn't observe that. And then I look at my plate, and even before I could realize it, I said, "Yes, Swami." So, and that is when I realized that, the beauty at that point in time was, everyone talks about the love of Swami. This was just not an introduction, but a face-to-face cognizance of that love, that among all of them, he comes straight to me. And what is he worried about? That I might have an upset stomach or my health might get spoiled because of the pickle. He comes straight and he doesn't stop at that. From there, he makes a beeline to that exact counter where I was served, and he goes and points at the ladle. "You're serving with a bigger ladle," and immediately that was replaced. And that's how we pointed, "See, that boy has been served a lot of pickle." And
Oh
then
my God.
that was a wonderful and a beautiful first interaction that I had with Swami in 2000 during the summer course.
I think it's a good learning also that, not only you point out the mistake, you go back and solve it, you resolve it,
Absolutely.
you go
Absolutely.
and fix it.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, Raju, your memory.
Yeah, so I have told you about the dream and how Swami said very, very nice. And that evening, in fact, was one of the most memorable events in my life. I would consider to be that formal introduction with Swami. So he came straight to me. He looked at me and said, "Very, very, very good boy." And he started waving his hand. I started crying. I do not know why, but I just burst out. And he said, "Marriage day?" I said, "No, Swami." "Birthday?" "No, Swami." "Why Vibhuti?" I never asked him for Vibhuti, but he himself is giving. So I said, "Swami, you are giving." I said, "Good boy." Again he said, then he gave me Vibhuti, and again he patted my shoulder and said, Pada Namaskar, Tisko. So I took Pada Namaskar, looked up, and he gave a deep stare into my eyes and said, Bangaram. And he walked away. It's gold. And he walked away. So that stare and those words of Swami saying, good boy, they would probably remain forever etched. Even when I recall that instance, that entire thing is playing out in front of my eyes.
Beautiful. Nice. Umar, how about you?
Yeah, brother. It was in 2008 during our gratitude program. So we were all preparing for the gratitude program, and there was some song, and one of the boy was choreographing for the song. Because of some reasons, he was out of gratitude program, and Nageshwar sir was asking who will take care of this. So who will choreograph and who will teach. So it was in 2008. So in 2007, the dance group was started. So I was just 1 year kid in the dance group, and I don't know much about dance. But Nageshwar sir gave that opportunity to me to choreograph for that song. So I have taken that as a challenge. So it's not like a challenge. So somehow I felt that okay, I want to do it. I want to give my best and make Swami happy, right? So I used to skip my lunch, dinner, even the play, everything. I just used to sit and then I used to choreograph. And while choreographing every step, right, I used to think, no, Swami is here, so he's watching. I know that sure he will ask me during my gratitude program. So for sure he will ask, right? So every song I used to keep, and for every beat I used to select 2-3 steps, and for whichever is the best step I used to pick up and keep it there. So like that I was choreographing. I was thinking that Swami was watching. So we went for gratitude program. So at the end, Swami called only dance boys, and he was giving safaris to dance boys. So all boys are going in a line. So I was the last boy to sit there. So I was just going near Swami. Then immediately Warden sir came to Swami, and he was telling Swami, he's a Muslim boy. He looked at Warden sir, Shiv Center Sai sir, and he said, I know, నాకు తెలుసు. Then again Warden sir said, Swami, he's a good dancer, Swami. నాకు తెలుసు, ఇతను బాగా చేస్తాడు. He dances well. I know that. Then he did like this on my cheek, and he said that steps baga chesevu. So you did very well, and I know what you have composed or what you have choreographed before only. So these are the 3-4 sentences he said, and I was so surprised. So whatever I thought during the choreography time in a single room, the same thing happened in Kolwanthal. So it was like Swami says, right? So I'm not this body. So God is omnipresent, omnipotent. So like that, I could recollect those statements when I was receiving those safari. So it was amazing, brother.
Beautiful. It's interesting that you had no knowledge about Swami. How much time it took you to learn about him? Like, how did you manage this? How did you pace it up, and learn about Bhagawan?
So
Like you're quoting Swami, and he's saying, he says,
right. So only one thing I always believe that I always like good persons. So irrespective of their religion, caste, whatever they do. So if the person is good, I always go near him and try to learn something out of him. So initially 3-4 months I was struggling to adapt or to accept that Swami as God, or even he is good person. So I was not at all believing. So I was keep complaining about him inside me, saying that he's not good or he's doing something wrong, something like that. Okay, but after 3-4 months, when I just came to know about Swami's projects, like water project, then other projects like institute, then the healthcare. So when I came to know about Swami's projects, I just asked myself one question: suppose if I have 100 rupees in my pocket, am I ready to give 10 rupees out of that to the society? So the answer was 50-50. I may give, may not give. But he is the person who is giving a lot of money to the society, and he is helping poor, and he is giving free education to people like me. So he's a good person. Dude, why can't we follow him? That's a good. So Abdul Kalam, Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. No, he's Sat Sai Baba. So irrespective of caste and creed or religion, just follow the good person and take whatever you can out of him. So that's how I started with it.
so your journey started there. Okay, excellent. Okay, let me get back to the topic now, more specifically. How did you all realize that you have interest in dramas? Were you born dramatics, born dancers? How it happened? Yes, All of you can please now feel free to share. I don't have to ask you personally, so please tell me.
So, brother, that's a very interesting question, I would say, because I, at least my case, I am not a born dramatist. I did not even know that such an art form called drama can be presented in so many ways and so many, and with so many stories and so many themes. So our the way in which dramas began is also very interesting. Swami, one day he had come to Kulwant Hall, and so our batch, I would say, Swami would call us the drama boys for a specific reason, because those were the days where he would give us opportunities almost on a daily basis. At one point, Swami had come for darshan and he asked warden. In fact, he looked at me and said, "We aim program." I said, foolishly, I said, "Swami, no program." Then immediately turned to warden and said, "Game program లేకపోతే తిరిగి వెళ్ళిపోతాం. If there's no program, I'll go back." That is, it comes to darshan only for watching our programs. And the way in which at least the corridor programs and these dramas have actually evolved is I mean, it's like God's creation. I've noticed it. You don't find a fruit suddenly ripe one fine day. It just happens over time, gradually and slowly. So one day Swami came. Swami said, "I want boys to speak." So boys were made to speak one after another. Then he said, "Why only one boy? Let two boys speak. Two boys." So it became two boys. A point of time where he said four boys. He made four boys to speak, and each of them had 20 minutes. And Swami just gave them 45 minutes time before bhajans. So they had to somehow just crunch everything to the 40 minutes. So individually they made it 10 minutes. And one day he said, I'll choose boys who can speak. So he made almost 8 boys get up. So that's how 8 to 9 boys have to get accommodated in that 20, 30, 40 minutes. And slowly and eventually that became a form of corridor program. And that eventually became drama, Swami's presence.
Hold your thought. Since you're using a terminology here which our audience may not be familiar with, you're calling it corridor drama. So I would like you to explain that. What does it mean so that people can understand when you're saying corridor drama? What is that?
So corridor drama is a special form of art created by the love of the Lord and created by the students. It's basically that path which Swami walks from right now where the Sannidhi is. Just imagine from there, yeah. This is the photo that you see there. That's the path which Swami walks while interacting with students. So boys, Swami would ask us to put up programs. We do not have costumes. The earlier photograph, I was actually acting as Yama. The person who was standing behind me was Chitragupta. And here I am supposed to be my grandfather and my friend is supposed to be my son. I'm a grandson, sorry. I'm explaining him as to why India is great. So we don't have any costumes. The dialogues assume a role and we speak.
So it's like a pretend play. It's literally like a pretend play in front of Bhagawan, in front of the audience. And just because it is a path which he takes to come, you have named it as a corridor play.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. In North India, we have that concept called as nukkad drama. Nukkad means in the just in the open. You don't have too many props. It's just four people and people around, and you just get into a role and start. You have a concept in mind and you start enacting it. So this was literally like that nukkad drama. The only thing is it was presided over by the Lord, and that nukkad was his nukkad. It is right in front of him at his.
So that nukkad became the corridor.
Corridor drama.
Excellent. So this is the corridor drama in which you started. So it was after the talks assumed into corridor dramas.
Yes. In fact, almost every occasion, every festival got translated into a corridor drama. And then it's the way Swami gradually took us was initially it began with, as Raju said, Swami called up 2 boys to speak and 3 boys speak. And then he gradually made every program in that year, Sankranti, Vishu, or Onam, everything became a corridor drama. And then there came a point in time where he was expecting us to perform a drama every single day, or a corridor drama every single day. I mean, there was no concept of there was a point in time where our exams are going on and Swami would want us to perform the drama. And so the way we will divide is morning 4 to 6, we will prepare for the drama. 6 to 8, we'll revise for the exam. 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, or possibly 9 to 10, we'll go and finish our exam. Come back, have lunch, get our thoughts together. We never even got a chance to run through that entire dry run sequence once. The dry run sequence was in his presence, and that was the final performance in the drama. And he would want it every day. Every single day he would want one.
Yeah, brother. Here I just want to add one point. The beauty of these corridor programs is the distance at which we'll be to Swami is so near, right? If you are in third block, at least you'll be having some distance. But here, when you're in corridor, when you're doing that program, we'll be just 5 to 6 feet away from Swami. And
Omar, just hold on. I need to tell the audience, you have to understand that people don't know your abbreviations. So when you say third block, it is the place in the Sai Kulwanthar right in front of Bhagawan, where the bhajan boys usually sit. That's called the third block, right?
Yes, brother.
Okay, carry on with your story. Okay.
So I remember one such incident during our second PG gratitude program. So we were doing one song which is on Sarvadharma. So where one boy was dancing like a Christian, another boy was Muslim, another boy was like a Hindu. So I was a Muslim in that. So I was there exactly in front of Swami, and I was just looking at Swami. So how I am looking at you right now, right, eye to eye. So like that, I was looking at Swami. I was singing this song. So I was dancing. So it was like Swami says that the Trikarna Suddhi. So when you're dancing, all your body, soul, mind will be in tune with God. So I was just looking at Swami and I was dancing. So it was amazing. So that kind of opportunities we get when you're doing during that corridor programs. Yeah, brother.
And just to add on, brother, what Brother Jagadish was sharing just now, before Umar, that Swami would expect us to do almost a drama on every day. And there were times where he would just come in and look at us and say, Chendi. Like, and the creator, the director, the actor was Swami. We were just an instrument standing there. Once he had one day, it was some festival, Kulwant's house was full. He came in, he looked at me with corner of his hand and did like this. He very beautifully just lifts only his left eyebrow. It's very tough to connect. So I knew that he's up for a program, and I just looked at him with wide eyes and said, Swami, if he wants to say no, yes, it's a no. If he wants to say yes, it's a yes. So he said, Chendi, he said, there was one more classmate of mine, he has very, very well built and a deep voice. Is the great grandson of the great poet Telugu, Jandale Papai Shastri, his great grandson. So he was next to me and he saw me indicated both of us that we should do the program. We weren't prepared thoroughly. So all the time that we had was Swami. By the time Swami comes and goes through the gents side and then goes interview room and then comes back, that's lesser than 4 to 5 minutes. That's the time we had. So by then we had to walk up. We walked up. We got the mics in our hands. We were looking at Warden. Warden was saying that just keep praying. Don't worry. Things will fall in place. So we had one kind of sequence which we thought of saying, plan that I am a grandfather and you would have those pictures also. So we both are actually our grandfathers and our grandsons are going to US to abroad. So I am actually encouraging my grandson to go abroad, while this person, my friend, is supposed to tell me that India is so great that why are you telling your grandson to go? He can serve here. That's a drama sequence. And it starts with Swami's famous poem, Khanda Khanda Antara Khyatinarjinchina Mahaniyulan Kanna Matrubhumi. So Swami comes, sits, and then the program starts. And Swami said, Swami is very proud. He made VC also sit next to him. And he said, like he was looking at him saying that how good my voice can be. So we held mics and we started. And my friend, he took off. He has a bass voice, very well built. He was towering. Then when he started off, he said, Kanda Kanda Antara Khyatinarjinchina. The entire Kulant all went into clapping mode. And Swami, such a pride, he looked at him and I was also looking at Swami. Then something strange happened. This brother of mine, he was on the other end, I was in this end, and in middle was Swami. So he walked across like this. Since he walked, I also had to cut, so I went the other side. But his look was a little strange. So again, second time he held them again and said, Kanda Kanda Antara Khyatinarjinchina Mahaniyulan Kanna Matrubhumi. I realized that something is not right. So by then the sound of the clap went down little. But still, then again he walked this side. So we had to cut again. I went the other side. Third
So
time he went.
basically, you are walking across Swami. You're
Yes,
walking in front of Swami and crossing each other.
yes,
Okay.
which is actually not, we do not do it many times because Swami is sitting there. And then third time he held the mic and again he said, Kanta Kanta Antara Khyadinarjinchina Morning. And he looked at me. That is when I realized that the brother of mine, my dear friend, has forgotten the entire poem. He does not know anything beyond that first line. So I knew the poem, but I cannot recite it because I am an antagonist and he's supposed to be the protagonist talking about the greatness of India. And fourth time again he crossed. I went that side, he went this side, and he recited. This time, Kulwan Paul was silent. So we just started looking up. Now, fifth time he recited, nobody clapped. There was the deafening silence. He walked into the, he started walking. I was so fed up of crossing in front of Swami. I said, come what may this time will not cross. So it happened in such a way. Why I'm narrating this is, how God designs. We were actually just instruments there standing. So he came and he ended up standing exactly in front of Swami. It was for the audience, it's just this person, and we right behind him was Swami. And he said, Kanda Kandantara Khyadinarjinchina Morning for the fifth time. And then from behind, Swami gives Paschatya Virula Paradrolinchu Swatantramunuganna Samarabhumi. Swami started giving
Oh.
line by line. And this
Oh.
just kept reciting line by line, and Kulbanthal went into clapping mode. No, the thunderous clapping. They thought that this is just a drama that this boy did 5 times, and he took off beautifully. So 20 minutes, the program got over, and this both of us went to Swami. Swami was apparently very happy. He created Vibhuti and was giving both of us. As we went near, both of us, we called it like this. So we went near, Swami's head was between us. He whispered into our ear saying that, "Inkokasari marchipote tantanra." Next time and this boy, his friend, he just looks at Swami without winking an eye. He said, "Swami, this is the situation every time in life, Swami. We just stand there. It is actually you, the real speaker. You are the real prompter. We just speak what is being prompted by you, O Lord." Swami looked at him and said, "Good boy, good boy." And he talked.
I'm taken a little back in a similar experience for the Convocation Drama 2005 in the interview room. Swami calls all the Convocation Drama artists, and suddenly he's giving all the instructions and narrating the story, and suddenly he looks at all of us and says, "If you forget the dialogue, then and there in between the drama, I'll come onto the stage and slap you," he told us. This is like an absolute stern one, which actually correlates to what you were saying just now, that if you forget, he'll kick you next time. There are beautiful memories in that way. Yes.
Wow, I've never imagined Swami prompting an actor, from behind, and then that make him becoming a part of the play itself. I think it's such a divine, experience that way. Let me know how. Okay, this was a corridor dramas, which was extempo most of the time, and I can imagine that it is not easy. But how many days you said during the examination you had to continuously do the drama? How many days was that?
So that was, it was, in fact, it lasted almost throughout the examinations, if I'm not wrong. In fact, the beginning of it is very interesting. This is that point in time wherein you have to inform Swami that the exams are beginning, because on one side, boys have to study. And at the same time, you don't want to say, Swami, we are not going to perform, because exams, ultimately, it's an opportunity. You don't want to lose that. So with a lot of trepidation, I believe the elders went to Swami and said, "Swami, from tomorrow, exams are going to begin for boys, and they seek your blessings." And then Swami said, "Chala manchidi, tell everyone that my blessings are there on them profusely. But what is the program tomorrow?" So the next question was that he was not allowing us to go. In fact, that became, as Ranganath was telling just now, he started addressing our batch as the drama batch. Drama boys are there, another drama batch on the leader. And this continued for that entire period, brother. In fact, I still remember when this happened for an entire year almost, and when we came back from summer vacation for the next year, we are entering with our luggage, and warden sir is literally standing there and telling, "Swami is expecting a program tomorrow." Means we have not even put the luggage in the room. And he's asking, "Swami is expecting a program tomorrow, and what to do? Boys are still trickling." So 4 of us get together and prepare a program on dharma. Let me tell you, without mincing any words, it was a sledgehammer. On all those were sitting on in Kulwant Hall, the 4 of us getting 2 at a time, getting and hammering, like literally talking about dharma, what is this dharma, atma dharma, paradharma, apadharma, and all. Again, 2 of them getting, you could literally see the swords and cudgels in the eyes of the people around. It's like, let Swami go to Yajur Mandir, then we will take you to task. Was almost the kind of sentiment probably. But again, at that point in time, when we didn't know, Swami, this is the best that we can offer. We have nothing to prepare. It just landed. Swami calls all 4, creates Vibhuti, and gives, and the mood changes. He controlled it. He's the one who's the doer. He controlled. He changed the entire sentiment.
If you don't mind, do you have an example for that matter? I know all of these are Swami's things, but it'll be nice for us to understand, for audience also, that how he prompts and puts a seed of play in your head, or how do you, because usually he'll tell you prepare or do something, but just for understanding, can you share us one example as to how he said, but you can clearly see that it was his grace or his act that
so
he
today,
instilled.
if you currently notice, brother, for August 15, the senior most boys put up programs, put up a beautiful drama on patriotism theme. Now, this was a tradition started by our batch, and and Jagadish was in fact the protagonist. He was the hero of the drama, and Swami was, he would I'm sure he would explain the portion where Swami physically confirmed what we had. So one day I had a very strange dream in which Swami came in my dream and said, you put up a drama on August 15th, and he showed me another friend of mine, a classmate of mine, Arvind, and he said, he will give you the theme. Like, I did not want to ask Swami on what theme, but he blessed me so profusely and said, you all put up a drama on August 15th. Now I get up, I do not know what to, how could I go to someone and tell that Swami came in my dream and we have to put up a drama? Imagine getting a permission from warden, from vice chancellor based on a dream. It seemed almost impossible. But I went to this brother of mine because I felt it's a sense of responsibility that when Swami showed me in the dream, saying that he will give you the theme. So I went to him and I asked him, Arvind, this is the dream I had. What do you think? Initially, just looked at me, gave a queer glance, and said, "You think we should go ahead with this?" And I said, "It's a dream, yeah. You do it. Let's do. I'm sure Swami has a purpose for it." And this brother, I'm sure that time he appeared to be, kind of apprehensive of the idea, but as he was mulling over, suddenly it struck him. In a very strange circumstances, struck him that when you say independence is actually freedom from body, freedom from the political systems, but Swarajya is actually the rule of the self, Swarajya. So we titled the drama as Independence to Swarajya. And then drama evolved in a beautiful manner. We had some beautiful scenes, and I'm sure, Jagadish, you can take over as to how Swami called you for those interviews. And
absolutely, in fact, the way that he is actually the real string puller, we are merely the puppets. In fact, it is only in our limited capacity we start believing that we are doing it. Actually, it is he who's doing it. He's prompting each one of us in different ways. So in that drama, there were 4 particular scenes which were filled with pathos. It's extreme pathos in a way that you had to show the gallows scene of Bhagat Singh, Khudiram Bose kind of a thing, which was, it is not very easy to portray it in Kulwant Hall. And anyone would have an apprehension that, whether it should be portrayed in front of Bhagawan in that way, because it is violent in some sense and a lot of pathos is involved. Then there was this Jallianwala Bagh, General Dyer's episode. And that was again another, it's a nerve-chilling episode in some sense, yeah. Then you had this episode of one of the characters was set fire. This was a real story, what happened during the independence, during the freedom struggle, to one of the revolutionaries, and his last moments are extremely pathetic in that way. That scene. And the 4th one was singing of Jana Gana Mana, that so many people from different nationalities are there in the Kulwant Hall, and the elders were absolutely right in their way to say that, see, We do not know how to proceed with this. So remove these 4 scenes. Now, what happens is if you remove these 4 scenes, you have removed the meat of the drama. Rest of the drama is it's a bundle of dialogues at the end of the day, and you remove the meat of the drama. And we didn't know what to do, and we were like holding our head. This happened just 2 days ago before the drama. We said, no, it's not going to. These scenes you have to remove. That day morning, we didn't give up. We were just hoping. You wouldn't believe. We were hoping that Swami will listen to us. I don't know what prompted us. That morning, Swami calls us for interview. Who go to the interview room? Arvind and myself. We are there sitting. Swami calls us into the interview room. Right then and there, Arvind prays to Swami. Swami, this particular scene, what do you think? And Swami said, no, you have to show it. One by one, all the 4 scenes, Swami actually inducted into the drama, and the message was very beautiful. See, you are not doing it from the point of showing something violent. You have to show the reality, what happened at that point in time. Because the people today have to realize what kind of sacrifice was made that today we breathe in freedom. And that needs to be portrayed. You have to show it. And it was like Swami literally taking the baton and running our race for us. He was the one who was okaying one by one each of the scenes. And the most beautiful part was when the Janagana Mana thing was there, and we prayed Swami, and then very rightfully the elders in the interview room mentioned to Swami that there are other devotees as well. But if Swami says whatever Swami says, we'll be more than happy to. Swami said, Janagana Mana is not merely a national anthem, it's a prayer to the Almighty. And he explained the meaning. Janagana Mana Adhinayaka. Adhinayaka is the ruler of the mind and the heart. Doesn't a man have right to pray? Everyone will stand, Swami said. I'm telling you, there are photographs wherein you would see literally the entire Kulwant Hall standing and singing the national anthem in unison. It was a fantastic moment. And coming back to your point, it was done by him. And at some point in time, when we got stuck, he literally took over from there, and he ran the race for us, and he made it possible.
Yeah, just taking on what Raju was telling about Swadharma, Swarajya. I would like you all to say how you have understood, as because Swami has explained that, the different stages of independence, or from, as you said, independence to Swarajya. So in summary, can you explain to us, can you share, so that people understand that how he gives you the understanding, and because of on that basis you create the whole play. So if you can share us that journey in how you define independence to Swarajya. Can you just tell us?
I will take this cue and tell what Swami told in the interview room about independence.
Yes, that's what I want.
Independence and Swarajya. Swami said, in fact, Swami mentioned a lot of things. Swami mentioned that even when Swami, just around the declaration of Avatarhood time, a lot of eminent freedom fighters had come and had Swami's darshan in Anantapur. Swami made it very clear. And Swami said, Subhash came and met me. It was like an exhilarating moment. Nobody knows it. We were in the interview room and Swami is telling one by one. Subhash Chandra Bose was talking about it. And we were like, in fact, the beautiful part was when we were entering, we thought we were entering the interview room to tell Swami the story. And as we enter, Swami is telling, you are the grandfather. You are the person. This is what happens. Bhagat Singh is there. Lal Bal Pal is there. Grandson wants to go to a foreign land. Grandfather is a freedom fighter. He's telling us the entire story. So we were like, yes, Swami. Yes, Swami. Yes, we're just literally nodding our heads. But and then when it came to this, Swami very beautifully described the meaning of Swarajya. He said Swarajya. It is not Swarajya. It's Swarajya. Means the rule of the self. The independence that we talk about is merely a political entity, or means we are thinking of it from a political standpoint, wherein the country, by and large, is free from a geopolitical rule. But there is a greater freedom that each one must strive for, and that is the freedom of the self. And that is what Swami was referring to, and he said, that is the freedom I want to strive, you all to strive for. And how is that you get that freedom? He brought it back to the concept of Bharat. And he started explaining what is the meaning of Bharat. He said, anywhere where Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema and Ahimsa is followed, that is Bharat. And then he qualified it. See, what happens is, in our limited understanding, we try to give physical meaning to things, to concepts, and he wanted to make sure that we don't get stuck in the physical meaning. And then he said, any person on any place on earth if he follows these human values, that place really becomes Bharat. So he transcended from Bharat being a geographical entity to a concept. And he said, the way to attain that Swarajya is through following the human values. So very beautiful. Maybe Raju can add even more on that, but this was something fantastic that Swami had told us at that point in time in the interview.
And in fact, brother, after the program, when Swami was granting, Swami was so compassionate that he blessed 5 actors, one after another, with rings, because he was so impressed with the drama. But
Right.
now, if you think back, it's more about the concept that is actually getting us to learn. And after the drama, he was granting us photographs. Then he looked at me and one more brother, and he made this statement. That's the first time I've actually heard directly Swami expressing his expectation from students. He said, నా పిల్లలుగా నా విద్యార్థులుగా మీరందరూ గ్రామానికి వెళ్ళి ఇది చాటాలరా, స్వరాజ్యం స్వరాజ్యం స్వరాజ్యం.
Please translate.
Yeah, as my students, I expect each one of you to go to every village and spread this message of Swarajya, Swarajya, Swarajya.
Wow. Wow. Wonderful. So in the concept, how did the dance enter?
Yeah, brother. It was way back in 2006, I think. So once Ganesh brother was in Vrindavan, so he was just behind Ramesh Hall. So that day evening there was a mango distribution. So there was a couple of boys who were going for the blessings, and Ganesh brother was one of those. But what happened? They stopped Ganesh brother because they thought, okay, 2 or 3 boys is good enough. So Ganesh brother was so disappointed. So he was sitting behind Ramesh Hall. And what happened? Suddenly, Swami came back and he was going to try. So he came back and he was looking at Ganesh brother, and he was telling to one of the VIPs, so he is a very good dancer. Do you know? Then VIP said, yes, Swami. And he has a very big group in Prashant Nilayam, and they do very good programs for me. So they put lights, they have costumes, they have makeup, everything they have, and they do a lot of programs for me. So he looked at Ganesh brother, Swami looked at Ganesh brother and said, don't you? So Ganesh brother said, Swami, yes, Swami. So it was like, when God thinks something, even though it is not there, even if it is not present, it will get manifested, right? So it was happened just in 2005. So in 2006, Swami called Ganesh brother in Prashant Nilayam, and he asked, start a dance group, teach boys and train boys. So he said, train boys. So it was like, it's not only they have to learn, they have to go out and spread my message. So that's how it started in 2006. So that day evening, Ganesh brother came to Hostel and he announced, so Swami wants a dance group to be started. So we are all like, Swami students are so blessed that sometimes, not sometimes, most of the times he called boys and tell what to do next. So what to start, what to do next. So this is one way he called Ganesh brother and said, start dance group, and he announced in Hostel. So that's how we started our dance journey, brother. And one more point to add here is, we all know that to go near Swami, we should have some means, some reason. Either Swami should call you, or you should create one opportunity to go near Swami. So I can't say that I'm creating the opportunity, he is giving the opportunity. So one such opportunity is either could be Vedam or bhajans or speaker, but I'm not having any other talent. But I got to know that this group is starting from zero here. So if I'm part of that, somehow I could learn and I can go near Swami. That's how it started. So I just joined
I
dance
believe,
group.
Umar, I believe your first conversation with Swami also happened because of the dance.
Yes, brother. Yes.
Do you want to
it's all
quickly
like,
mention about?
I was telling, right, in 2005, when Swami came back from Vrindavan, so he called all new joined boys. So he called all UG boys come. Then warden sir came to us and he said that, please come all UG boys, Swami is calling. So all went near Swami and they're holding hands like this. So I don't know what to do, but I'm just next to Swami. So I'm just looking at boys and I was looking at Swami also. So then what I have done, I was just looking at Swami. Swami looked at me and said, what's your name? I said, what, sir? I couldn't hear properly. So I said, what, sir? So Swami said, Sir Kadu, Swami. Then I was like, what he's telling me to call him Swami. I
Just
heard it
let
in
me
my ears.
translate. Let me translate. He said, Swami said that, what is your name in Telugu?
Yeah, yes,
And you
right,
responded, what, sir?
right.
So Bhagawan
Yes.
stopped you and he said, not sir, call me Swami.
Call me Swami. Then
That's sweet.
I was thinking what he's asking me to call him Swami. I heard that word somewhere back in mythological stories, but now he's making me to call him Swami. Then okay, I said okay, Swami, name is Swami. Then I asked what Swami? What's your name? I said Umar Swami. Then where have you come from? I said Andhra. Oh, okay, it's good. He said, okay, good. Then I heard some noise, some voice, some disturbance from my behind. So one of the boys' keychain fell down. So I was just looking at the keychain. I was just going back. But other boys are pushing me friend because Swami wants to talk to me. But I don't know the value of Swami, so I don't know what to do. So I just went back. So when I was recollecting all these moments, so I was like so foolish. So when God Himself wants to
No, I
speak
think
to you,
journey.
you are running away
Amar, it's
from
a
Him.
journey. It's all journey for all of us, and we realize as we grow, we realize all of this. But it is wonderful. It adds up to your learning process.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
let me ask you, because drama is not just a small, like, two items. Of course, the street corridor drama which you mentioned required only two, three of you. But when you do a full program and drama for Bhagwan on occasions, that is really colorful and it's a very good standard. So you require a lot of sets, and what we look at from outside, your sets, your makeup is really par excellence. Would you like to tell us about how did that happen? Do you get some professionals to come and do the makeup for you? Who makes the sets? Can you just enlighten us about the whole journey of background? What happens at the back end?
So the moment you start, scripting a drama, the first thing initially you have a core team that thinks of a concept, and then slowly developing the concept, and then you divide it into dialogue writing into various scenes and entries and exits and all of that. By the way, before embarking into the journey, none of us are trained directors, actors, or anything. It's just he that made us into what we appear to on the stage at that point in time. Because if I look at ourselves back, nobody took that up as a career, but we wanted to make Swami happy. That was the undercurrent. So the moment that happens, one of the first things that you want to crystallize a scene, you have to start interacting with the maintenance group. They are the ones, the people who are the backbone. Literally, they are the Vishwakarmas. You want to enact that Ramakrishna Paramahansa and Vivekananda scene, Dakshineshwar will be there. You want to capture that moment when Krishna went to Hastinapura, the royal court of Hastinapura is there. You want to talk about Gautam Buddha getting his nirvana, that Bodhi tree, Bodhagaya is there. Means they could literally create anything, and it was not ordinary. It was not that they made something. No, we have seen excellent structures, the way they have been put up, and Swami's joy at it many a times looking at those sets, the way
So it
thrones
was
were
all done in the hostel. It was all done
all
in the
done in the
hostel.
hostel by the boys. No external entity, any help of any sort. In fact, it's not just one group. There is the maintenance group. There is a recording studio. We had a hostel recording studio
That's some
in the
pictures, yeah.
hostel. And then we have something known as the Institute Auditorium backstage, or the green room, what we call. There was a recording studio there. And even for advanced recordings, we have the Radio Sai recording studio where we used to go and do the recordings and all of that. So there was one aspect of it. And then you can see here, this is the drama, and the background music group sitting and working there, and somebody recording the padyam for the drama. And apart from that, you had the costumes group who would stitch these colorful costumes literally with minimal help, and the makeup group. Literally, they're the ones who would literally deck you up and make you look good when you go onto the stage. So it was, the actors were a very small representation of the whole effort that went in. A lot of sets boys, maintenance boys, background music, costumes, the music group. In fact, for a lot of the padyams, which were taken from Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, the tune was given by the music group, composed by them. Sure, Raju can and Umar can actually throw more light on it. But this is how you can just see this. Look at the sets, the way this was performed.
And Swami had unique feedback to each of these groups. Like he would, for example, one of our classmates had for the August 15th drama that we are mentioning, he had painted a huge 20 feet poster of Bharat Mata. So it's basically it's Bharat Mata in the shape of India, but yet a lady, and the part of her body is covered by a sari. It's a beautiful painting, huge painting, and the entire drama got over. Swami glanced. Yeah, this is the drama. Swami glanced at that paint. He kept glancing in between. So he gave a deep glance and he called. He asked for the specific boy who painted it. Then he called him aside and Swami gave a specific feedback saying as to what care should be taken when actually painting a woman's body. What all things should be taken care to ensure that her feet and the body is shown in a right manner. To such detail. And there was another time where
I believe
brother,
he made a statement, right? You have shown the mother, but you have
Yeah.
not shown. No, sorry.
So this
What
was
was the
actually
statement? Right?
the morning when Swami came. He said, "You have done just Bharat. You have done justice to Bharat, but not with Bharat Mata." So immediately sprung up into action and he corrected that. And then evening Swami called him again, as Ravi was telling. Yeah.
In fact, brother Jagadish was Krishna. He comes up. So Swami would allow us to sit in bhajan hall for that loving interaction before the drama. It's his kind of blessing us and giving us instructions, specific feedback. So he came in. He looked at him, and Swami was so particular about the color on the cheeks as to how Krishna should look. And Swami ensured that that particular color came, Swami wouldn't give up. Swami would indirectly ask. I mean, he would indirectly express his displeasure. He would say, "No, get this cheek blue, little orange." And he would
Swami, the look on Swami's face as he was getting down the car, it was like such a disgust. Is it? Oh, Krishna never looked like that, he said. And then he was like, with a lot of anger, who painted you so blue? And I didn't want to be at the receiving end. So I just played Swami, these two people, the people who did my makeup. You wouldn't believe he walked in, he sat there and he said, remove all the color. Imagine, I'm decked up. In another 10, 20 minutes, I have to go and perform. And he says, remove the color. So literally, you can imagine there were 4 hands, 2 going this way and 2 going this way, scrubbing my face. And I'm just sitting in front of Swami. And he made the entire color come out. And then he again made them put that exact shade of blue, some red on the cheeks, some glitter on the eyes, checked whether my dhoti is right or not, walk up, hey, Krishna's ankle is seen, it should not be seen, ask them to cover my ankle. And where is the vanamala? It's like the flower, the wildflower garland. And so every detail Swami was,
And in fact, just to add on to what Brother Jagdish is saying, one of the Burakatha boys would tell me very often when Swami had asked them to do Burakatha, and just before they got onto the stage, Swami gave an indication with his left eye. So he did not understand what was Swami indicating. So Swami, the boy could not get it. Boy could not understand. Swami then he said, sit down, sit down. He made a action like that, very explicit way of saying, sit down, don't get up. So this boy sat down. Everything was perfect with his costume. Everything was good. Then Swami called the costume boy. Swami whispered something into his ear. And this boy's eyes widened like that. And he said, yes, Swami, I will do it. He went, he got a cloth and he covered up behind his back. A small piece of cloth. So we did not know what was happening. And later this boy, costume boy, tells us that when this boy had taken Padanamaskar, Swami had noticed a safety pin projecting out from his back. It wouldn't be seen. It wouldn't be seen. It for it to a normal eye, it's probably impossible to catch. But at the end of the Burakatha, Swami tells this boy, Ray, when you're doing something for Swami, it's an offering to the Lord. It has to be perfect. You cannot have those protrusions. So next time, take care.
Yeah, brother. I just remember one of the incident what Raju brother was talking about. So it was in line with that. So in the early days of our dance group in 2006, 2007, so we were not having proper costumes. So if you can show that Ganesh brother's photo, you see Ganesh brother was wearing a kurta, right? And they will be tying a kind of a cloth to their waist. So these are the typical costumes we used to have. And one day Swami called us and he said that costumes, yeah, you can see, right, the kurta, and then on the waist there is a cloth here. So this was the typical costume we used to wear. So one day, called Swami called Ganesh brother and said that, okay, costumes change cheyandi, so wear a good costumes. So change your costumes, wear a good costume, because a lot of people are watching you, and when you're presenting it, present it properly. So it was like pattina dedo pattitivi. So when you hold it something, hold it tightly and do it properly, so give your best. So you're dancing in front of Nataraja, and you know the cosmic dancer and how you have to present him. So you can't just come in white dress or the kurta, so wear it properly and come. So Swami was so particular about each and everything. So even makeup, what Jagadish brother was mentioning, so even the pin, so what the others can't make out, and what we wear, so everything he was particular about. So I just remembered this incident when Raju brother was talking about that.
And brother,
Beautiful.
just to add on to just to reiterate, this was the same Lord who is so particular about the pin protrusion. It was the same Lord who made us do in our white dresses those street play. I mean the corridor plays.
Absolutely.
And he would go on and on talking about how the way, and there was never a mace in my hand, but he would say, "See how Yama is holding the mace."
Yes.
And I remember, I remember where in one of the dramas when the Hiranyakashipu was supposed to hold a mace, Swami, the mace was perfectly done. It was gold glittering, and then Swami is not very happy with that mace. Swami calls that particular speech and says, "No, Hiranyakashipu was so rich that he had those diamonds studded on the mace. So get those things,
Wow.
yeah, get those things done." That is what slowly and steadily, gradually took us there. It's not that one day he would come and expect us to get into those roles.
Actually,
So yeah,
Swami, the beautiful. Sorry, Amar. Yeah, please say.
yeah. Sorry, brother. Please continue.
No, Amar. Add up whatever you want to add, please.
Yeah, I was just kind of mapping these two, like when a kid was acting or when kid was dancing, so how the mother feels. So even the kid is doing small things, she will be happy, so she feels so proud and see how my kid is doing. But it was like Swami, when we are doing in a white dress in corridor program, so Swami was like a mother, so he enjoys, okay, my kid is doing, even though it is white dress, it's okay, no problem. But when you're doing drama, he's like a cosmic dancer. Now he's shifted from mother to the cosmic dancer. So there he looks like, I'm the cosmic dancer, so everything should be perfect. So he has different shades there, right? So I could recollect that.
He
The
takes
most
us to a journey.
absolutely the beautiful part was that he was on our side. For him, it was like it is like we are representing him. So he is so heartening to know now that he was always on our side. He wanted us to look good. So much.
Raju, I remember a story. If you can tell me about that. You remember a boy who forgot his dialogue and he said a word and nobody understood and Swami corrected
Right.
it.
I was just coming to that. So
Yeah.
when Jagdish says he's on our side, he was literally on our side, both in terms of supporting us emotionally, physically, and also even when we kind of goof it up. So as I was saying, the corridor programs were an avenue for many boys to come onto stage and being a part of that program, but that play. So in that sequence, we kind of allowed one of our classmates without realizing that he has a stage fright. So the scene is such that it's the Chinnakatha which Swami narrates very often, where the king and his minister are going, and opposite comes a sage. Looking at the sage, the king falls, prostrates, and sage blesses him, gives him a very good advice. And then minister asks him, why are you prostrating? You being the king says, no, the value of the gold actually only can go up, or the value of the crown can go up when you prostrate in front of the ochre robe, which has gone in search of the eternal truth. So it's some of the powerful dialogues you have added, and that dialogue of the sage is very crucial for the next scene to flow in. I was Yamadharma Raja explaining to Jiva, saying how beautiful, how precious are the gems that flow from the learned ones. And here comes a classmate, supposed to be the sage from the other side, and from this side comes the king. And Swami is, it was flowing very nicely, beautifully, the entire sequence. So that pride was there on Swami's look. And then this boy comes, the king says, "Ha ha, Mahatma," and he falls straight, prostrates onto the sage. That when he by then till then the sage was actually closing his eyes and was walking. So when he posted, he opened his eyes and looked at Swami, looked at the entire Kulwant hall. That is when he realized the Kulwant hall was full. It was overwhelming feeling. He just looked at everybody. He had a mic in his hand. He had to tell a dialogue which was the crucial link for the next scene to flow in. And he looks at him, looks at Swami, looks at this king who is down, and I was indicating him, tell. The king is also from, he waited for 2-3 seconds, he's looking up like this, say something, yes, Swami is looking, Swami is straight there. This boy was so frozen, he looks at him and he just looked and said, Suru, and sat down. What does Suru mean? None of us knew. And there was another parallel figure running in us that I'm sure Jagadish recollect that we had very strict quality control from the teachers and especially from the university authorities. We were very scared that if someone realizes that this boy goofed up in front of Swami, in front of those thousands of people, we wouldn't get one more chance. So I was praying that Swami for two things. Swami, please don't get upset. Second, please allow us to somehow just cover this up, allow us to get unnoticed. Let the university authorities not notice. But
does it have any meaning, Suru? Anybody's name or something like that?
Nothing.
He just came out of his mouth. Okay.
Because his name happens to be Suresh, so we used to call him Suru. Suru.
Okay, so he was in fear. He called his name as Suru only.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
The vice chancellor was sitting next to Swami, and Swami covered. So I had to do something. Swami gave a beautiful smile just to cover it up. Then I said, "Thus the great sage spoke those mystical words called Suru, and he blessed him with something like that." Because I had to cover up, to do something, and then the now. Vice Chancellor being Vice Chancellor, a very learned man, he wanted to understand what exactly that Suru means and why did Yama say that the learned spoke those mystical words. No, he wanted to ask the boy, but Swami was there, so he could not ask. So then we went to Swami. Swami kind of at a physical level, Swami understood that we would get exposed. So Swami was trying to avoid it. So when this first time when we came, Swami said, "Beautiful, chala baga chesar." I was about to tell Swami said, "Chala baga chesar." I realized Swami doesn't want us to apologize in public. So I just nodded my head and I knelt down. But this brother of mine who was actually heavy with the guilt, he got up and started crying, saying, "Sorry, Swami, I'm up to Swami." Swami said, like he was indicating, "Shut up, you just don't talk." This boy kept on going, "Swami, I will not repeat it." So then the vice chancellor understood something is not right. So this time he directly asked the boy, what is Suru? Because he was just careful. Now none of us had an answer. What does it mean? So this boy sank back, and I thought this is the last moment that would ever actually come in front of Swami's presence. That is when the Lord takes over. He looks at vice chancellor, the vice chancellor, gives a beautiful smile and says, "Su means Manchi. Ru means Rutamu." That state which is just before that supreme state of oneness. That Rutamu. The sage blesses the king, saying that may you attain that auspicious state of oneness with divine. And that is when we realize that this Lord is literally on our side. Training us dialogue by dialogue. And the vice chancellor, teachers, professors were thrilled, saying that how deep thinkers are the students of the university that
they could write such a beautiful dialogue, Suru.
Yes.
Oh man! Now I think there is a word exists like a Suru. We can make use of it.
Now it has gone in the dictionary. No word Suru. Correct. You can now add a dictionary word Suru. Jagadish, on the same thought process, I remember about Dashavatara story.
So this is a very interesting one, the Vishwarupa of Krishna Raivaram.
Yeah. Vishwarupa.
So the thing is, in fact, Raju can fill in the gaps if I miss out, because we are all together and almost co-conspirators, we can say, in every of those things that we performed. We had shown Swami almost every scene. So our thing was, for us, it is Swami who's the main case for everything. We have to show him everything, and only then we perform on the final day. But by that time, that this was the drama of Krishna Rai Baram, wherein Krishna's a peace messenger. Krishna goes as a peace messenger, and it ends with him showing the cosmic form in the royal court of Hastinapura. That is where. So now the last scene is the most important and critical scene in the drama, that is showing the cosmic form. We couldn't conceptualize how to portray it, and we were struggling. And once they saw the drama and the Vice Chancellor liked it, immediately Swami was informed. Swami came that evening and he saw the entire rehearsal, but we couldn't show the cosmic form. Now what happened was, one fine day we all decided that, okay, we are this is the formation. We saw in one particular book the formation in a V-shaped, and you wouldn't believe, that time the sports meet was going on. So what we did was, somebody took the paintbrush that was lying around that thinner box, and somebody took a welding rod and this, and we stood in that formation. Ranganath was the one who was standing and said, "Hey, look, it's looking awesome." So we knew it at that point in time that it was going to click. So we prepared that way, but we didn't show that time when Swami was actually in the bhajan hall just before the drama, and that makeup episode and all that fiasco happened at that point in time. We showed this. Yeah, exactly. This is what we showed Swami, and Swami looked at it, and he looked at his eyes.
So Bhagawan came to the bhajan hall to bless you all before going out for the play.
Yes. All the actors were seated in the bhajan hall to take his blessings. Hall. Yeah.
So and he just to let them know that before the play, all the people, we use bhajan hall as our green room kind of. So everybody is there inside, dressed up, and Swami would usually come to the bhajan hall, bless the children, and then go on the stage. Right. And then the children will go out, right? Just to give a backdrop. Absolutely. So continue with your story. Okay.
So this was the thing that we showed Swami, and Swami's eyes literally lit up, and he's like, "Chala baundi." But there's always a message. And the interesting part to this is, actually, before showing this, we were seated, and we wanted to show this to Swami, and Swami comes, and we pray to Swami. Swami, can we show you the cosmic form? Swami, Vishwarata Swarapam Chubinchita. Can we show you the cosmic form? Swami is like, "Oh, Nuvu Vishwarata Swarapam Chupistava Naku. Oh, so you are going to show me the cosmic form, is it?" And he said, "Yes, Swami, right now, here in the bhajan hall." And Swami, "Acha, Chubin. Is it okay, show?" Even then it didn't click. Just didn't click.
What's very interesting. Are you going to show me the cosmic form?
He was trying to tell us, "Are you going to show me the cosmic form?" And he said, "Yes, Swami, right now, just here. We'll show you in an answer." Okay, go ahead and show. So we stood in our formation. Swami looked, Swami liked, but then there was that message still waiting. So we came and sat in our place, and Swami suddenly started talking. Slowly, he started talking to the other characters in the drama, and slowly, one by one, there was this Kripacharya character who was a part of the Hastinapura thing.
Before you come to that, I just want to add a small bit. Yeah. So as Jagadish was saying that, so you can see in that picture, Jagadish was standing like that with his eyes closed and frozen the entire Dashavatara. No, I had that audacity to ask Swami, how is the Vishwarupa form? Like I went up the camp, and he looks at me and he tells me, "Vishwarupa, it's nice, but that dhoti is flapping inside. You get it out." I was so stunned. I thought it is his way of telling, "Shut up." And
he pointed out the dhoti, yeah? He pointed out the dhoti flap.
Dhoti flap.
Dhoti flap. Actually, showing his ankle. He said the ankle should not be seen.
That shows his perfection. He shows his perfection. Absolutely. He never liked any deviation from many things. Yes.
Absolutely.
Then they came and sat, and then the Kripacharya. Please go on, Jagadish.
So the Kripacharya thing started. Now, the way Swami would prepare us is that he also wanted to ensure. See, for my state of mind was, I showed him the Vishwavirata Swarupa. For me, drama ended there. Means it totally went out of my mind that in another 15 minutes, I'll be going on to the stage. That is where actually the performance is. That is what Swami is trying to project us for. I had already literally, let my guard off. And I'm happy. I'm in my cloud 9. Swami sitting right under Swami's nose, and Swami was talking one by one to each one, and suddenly he looked at the Kripacharya character and asked him, "What is your father's name?" Now, this nobody knew. It's like Kripacharya's father's name is an obscure character. In fact, I tried to search later. It is some character known as Saradwan. In fact, their antecedents is not very well known. Even in the Mahabharata, nobody knows it very well. He said, "Swami, I don't know." Swami said, "Kaisa ladka hai?" Swami again goes to the other person sitting next to him, probably one of the Pandavas. "Kripacharya ka father ka naam kya hai?" What is Kripacharya's father's name? Swami don't know. Next boy, next boy, next boy. Everyone Swami kept asking. Finally, he came to me. I was still in cloud nine. I was just like my head bent down, and I'm still living in that, that glory of showing Swami the Vishwarat Sarupa and Swami like Jai Krishna. And I just look up and they said, Swami, Krupacharya, father ka naam kya hai? And I just look, Swami, I don't know. Ye mira. ఇంత పెద్దవాడ ఈ విశ్వవిరాట స్వరూపం నాకే చూపించావు కానీ కృపాచార్య ఫాదర్ పేరు నీకు తెలీదా అండ్ like literally put the balloon then and there. He said, you fellow, you showed me the cosmic form of all. You showed me the cosmic form, but you don't know what Kripacharya's father's name is. Yes, like he literally brought me to the ground level to gear up for the performance. You didn't want me to stay in that floating.
So sweet. Omar, did you get a chance to anytime prepare a dance for Swami? Like they have shown the concept of plays coming into being. Did you have any chance to conceptualize a dance?
Yeah, brother. Many times. I just remember when Jagadish brother and Ranganatha Raju brother was telling, when the Swami is on our side, see all this. So I just remember one incident, such incident. It was in 2007, March 7th. So what happened? It was just before examination time. So to give a background before that, so we have performed in January, and after that in March, so this incident happened. So it was almost 3 months gap. So we were in playground, so we are all playing, and suddenly Swami wants to see our dance program. So what happened? So he called Gopak sir and said that call dance boys. So then immediately he said Warden sir. Then Warden sir immediately came to hostel and he started announcing. So all dance boys, please proceed to Monday. Swami wants to have a program. That's all. So we heard that. We left everything. So cricket ball, bat, everything we left there. So we were sweating like anything. So we just got ready in 10 minutes. We went to Mandir. So I just entered Mandir and I could see dance boys taking Swami's Pad Namaskar one by one. So I was like a kid or a student when he entered a classroom, when he was become late. So how he looked at teacher, oh my God, I'm gone today. So like that, because I was the last person to enter Mandir and everyone was already taking Pad Namaskar and going. So I just went there and I was taking Pad Namaskar. So then I got to know that there is a dance program. I don't know what to do. I looked at Swami. Swami, he said, do good. It's okay. I will take care. Like that he said. So we went inside. By the time I entered, Ganesh brother, Vishweshwar, Kamal Chand, Sai Prasad. So these are some of our dance boys. So they started recollecting the song which we have done in January. So almost 3 months over. So we don't know what to do. So we are playing in mobile song we are playing and we are trying to recollect. So I was telling one step, the other boys telling, no, not this, that step. The other boys said, no, not this. There. So there is a lot of confusion. And Swami was there. Then we decided, no, it is not going to be possible. So we can't do. So we will go to Swami, say to Swami, we will do it tomorrow. We'll practice and we will do it tomorrow. So Ganesh brother went to Swami. Swami, costumes leaves Swami. So no costumes Swami. So Swami said, go to hostel, get it, I will be it. Then again, Ganesh brother said, Swami, some of the boys are not there, Swami. No problem. I told Warden sir already. Warden, I already told. He announced. So other boys also will come. Don't worry, I will wait. Then again, we are telling what reason to give. So then we said, Swami, song CD is not there, Swami. Song CD, go to hostel, get it. I'll wait. I'll go to interview room. I'll come. By the time you be ready with everything. So he decided that today program has to be there, and we
So
don't
you
know
can't
what
avoid him. You can't
No.
avoid him when he wants.
That's right. So when he wants something, it will happen, and he'll make sure that it will be in proper shape. So everyone went to hostel on behalf of us. They went to hostel. They got costumes. They got CD. They got everything. And we were in bhajan hall, like you were telling, right? It was our green room. So we were inside that. We were practicing. One side makeup was going on. Other side is okay. This step. Okay, this step. Okay, next is this step. Like that. We were parallel. There was some parallel work is going on there. So finally, Swami came out of interview room and he called boys. So we went and stood in front of Swami. So Swami came inside and he was looking at our costumes, everything. So he said, good, proper, it is proper. Now enter. So he will give a green signal. So he will give that flag. Now this is the time to enter. So we used to go from the bhajan hall to the third block where the actual stage is, just in front of Swami. So we went there and stood. All audience are there, Swami in front of you, song yet to be played, and we were just holding hands and praying like this. We don't know what to do. No clue. It was like if I ask Ranganath Raju brother to dance for a song, so what he does, same way. So all minds are empty. Don't know what to do. Exactly, it was empty. So the song started. Something we do. So no match, no synchronization, nothing. So it went on. Then program got over. Swami came down. Even for that performance, Swami came down to give photographs, and he was giving photographs. So we were asking Swami, Swami, we couldn't do justice. Please forgive us. Then Swami looked at us and he said, practice, practice. So that was the main point he wants to convey us. So practice more, always practice. Practice makes man perfect. Then he looked at other boy. So the other boy was telling Swami, please, sorry Swami. Then Swami said, Idi kuda na maya, idi kuda na lile. So he said, this is also my lila, don't worry. Then Jagadish Chandra was telling Swami, we couldn't do well. Then he said, don't worry, I will take care, I will take care. So these are the three sentences. So first thing he said, practice well. So that was the lesson he wants to teach us. And the second thing he said, this is also my lila. So it is also a memorial. Then third one he said, don't worry, I will take care. Right. So then when we came out of 11th hall, everyone was like, it's amazing program. So they were telling that it was amazing, nice, so good. So it was like, so what audience can see, there was a kind of a sheet, kind of some kind of layer Swami has formed. So it was backing up. So Swami was backing up with his miracle. So I was just recollecting this incident when our brothers were talking about Swami is always on our.
Let me ask you, you had a chance to offer Quran to Swami. I have a picture for that. So if you can tell us about it.
Right. Yeah, this was during Ramjan time. So on Ramjan day, after 30 days of fasting, we just went to Swami for his blessings. So I just, with his blessings, I have taken Quran to Swami, and I was just showing to Swami, Swami, this is Quran. So he was asking, oh, it is Quran. So it was like out of my, I was like a kid. So even though he knows everything, I'm trying to explain what it is. So I said, Swami, this is Quran. Oh, this is Quran. Okay, fine, fine. Then he started looking at paper, Quran. So he was just flipping papers like that, and he was looking at. And he just looked at me and he said, "Have you read this?" I said, "No, Swami." So it's just like what Jagadish brother praised it. So he thought that I showed the Vishwrupam, but when he asked one question, there's a bouncer. So I said. Exactly. I was telling Swami, this is Quran. Swami said, oh, this is Quran. Okay, fine. Then have you read it? I said, Swami, no, Swami. Then he became normal and he said that read this. This is very good. So it's very good. So he said 3 times, it's very good. Read this, very good, very good. I said, okay, fine, Swami, I read this. So that was kind
Beautiful.
of love.
Brothers, these stories can really go on, but I'm tempted to ask you a few questions. And because looking at your whole, experiences, you made us laugh. You have shared beautiful glimpses, I would say backdoor stories, background stories of the play and how he plays mischief and fun with all of us. So thank you for that. But I'm tempted to ask you, since we grow up with Bhagwan and you see him from a very different perspective. Initially, everybody, gets to know that Swami is God from his parents and environment. Like Omar had got no clue. He came there and the world is telling him he's God. But slowly, slowly, the concept evolves within us. And then there comes a time in life when self validation becomes very important. When you start, believing, creating your own faith without depending on your parents or environment to tell you what you must believe. So if you can tell us what is, let me start with Jagdish Raju. What is your concept of, that God evolved over the years? And how do
It,
you perceive Swami today?
no, it's a very deep question, brother. At some point in time, I think even now, if we look at it at some stage, God is merely a conceptual entity. What is God? We are actually like the 6 blind men trying to define an elephant. And it's a conceptual entity which we don't know if we will be ever successful to do that. But he, in his infinite mercy, has actually tried to reveal himself at different stages, in different ways. See, all these things that we did, for example, the dramas or getting an opportunity to talk to him or speak to him, it was his way of revealing himself to us in some small form. So, for example, in our second UG, Brother Ranganath will very clearly remember this. Swami suddenly told us that, I want you all to start reading Bhagavatam. Because that was the time when Harry Potter was at its peak. And that was the summer time and a few of us had stayed back. And that book, Swami probably glanced at someone carrying that into the Thrai for a Thrai session. And Swami said, boys, what all books you're reading? Why don't you read something? The dramas actually started happening sometime in 2005. What I'm talking about is 2002. 3 years, how subtly, how beautifully he slowly reveals us himself and prepares our mind and heart for what is coming. And in a way, it's a facet. He's revealing us. See, at the end of the day, one program, I'm sure Ranganath will remember very clearly, we were supposed to stage a program, and Swami called us inside the bhajan hall for the pre-programmed session. We were sitting around him, and that session continued for 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours it went on, and then we were still asking Swami program, and Swami said, what was the whole point of doing the program? You wanted to come close to me, right? I have already given you that. Why program? Just eat prasadam and go home. And that was Swami. He knew deep within why we are doing, and he would, in that sweet way, reveal himself. And that was the beginning of a lot of things, brother. That reading of Bhagavatam, that gave a wonderful experience. Probably for me, I'm just telling from a very individualistic and possibly a very selfish point of view, what it helped me to understand what he meant to lose myself in reading of the Bhagavatam. In fact, I got a beautiful experience which I penned it down, and I wanted it to be a secret, thinking that it was a hallucination all the time. I didn't want to reveal that to anyone. And our dear brother Ranganath Raju came, and one fine day read that whole episode, and Swami calls him to give a talk. And maybe Raju can explain that better than me, what he did that day.
Yeah, so it was Krishnastami day. So that morning, Swami had asked me to speak. So I was quite confident that he wouldn't ask me to speak again in the evening. So I was sitting in the first line. Evening, Swami comes, and just before starting the discourse, Swami calls me and says, speak. What do I speak? So I go to the mic, the podium is put, and right in front of me, I just pray to Swami, look at the audience. Right in front of me was Jagadish. And this experience just came hitting me, which he said, don't share with anyone. There is a promise that don't tell anyone. And that day, I narrated this experience to the entire Kulanth Hall. It's a beautiful experience, but just in 2 lines is that, with Swami's grace and blessings, he was so intensely lost while reading Bhagavatam that he pined so much for Krishna's darshan, and he saw Krishna 12 feet tall, Krishna standing in Vrindavan ground and giving him beautiful darshan. He saw him in flesh and blood. And
Wow.
in fact, when he was actually acting as Krishna, that was the reference that Swami would. He would make him to look at Dharmaja like that Krishna.
Yes,
Look
the,
at
the, the, the external Swami is telling something, but from internally he is trying to guide in another way.
Yes.
And that was the guidance that Swami gave in that form, that giving that darshan that day, and sort of preparing the heart from that point of view. And that a small facet, that experience cannot be narrated in words. And that is how he revealed himself as God, what he meant. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa sahaya. We have heard Swami tell so many times that God cannot be expressed. He gave these experiences in small and big form to reveal us himself.
It just added up to it.
It just added up. Yes, absolutely.
So Raju, for you, what is that?
In my 12th class, I was once sitting on that third block. Right now, the second block, sir, between second and third block. Right now, where the Sannidhi is, somewhere there. Right there was a flower pot that was kept, and it had a strange-looking fruit or flower, which I cannot, describe. But it was very strange. So basically, that was during the Dasra Mahayajnam, and some of the Ritviks were sitting around that flower pot, and a chair, Swami's throne, was placed just somewhere nearby. So Swami had just gone into interview room, and my mischievous mind wanted to actually go and touch the fruit and wanted to feel whether it's a real fruit or a plastic or an artificial one. I wanted to feel it, and but my hands were itching. I was in that first line, and just I was somehow taking an courageous step of getting up and doing it. But Swami came from the interview room, so I had to sit down. Swami comes straight, and he's standing right in front of that flower pot, and he was, he's actually folding his hands like this behind, and behind since I was sitting at a vantage point, I was able to see that this was the fruit, and Swami was actually trying to hold it and feel, because I could make out. I felt that Swami also had that doubt whether it's actually an artificial one or a real one. I was just trying to feel the fruit, which was, his fingers were like this. That is when the Ritvik sitting next to the flower pot just got up and said, he showed that Devi Bhagavatam to Swami and asked that particular about some Sangya or something of that sort. And then Swami explained. So Swami immediately withdrew his fingers. Then Swami put his finger on that word, and he started explaining as to how that word was actually given to Brahma by Narayana himself, and from Brahma it came to Indra, Surya, from Surya to Indra, from Indra to Ikshvaku, and how over the ages it has actually come, and what it meant at different points of time. And then as he explained the entire thing, that it was so overwhelmed that he was just gaping at Swami like that. And Swami said, sit down. So this Ritik was sitting down, and again Swami folds back his hand. I was seeing it. He then holds this fruit or flower. He presses it, and he looks at me and says, "Nijam ra." He says, like, I was so struck with that incident, because he is entamatram talachin antamatram. He is actually limited by our own imagination, by our own thinking. For me, this 12th class kid, he was that little mischief monger who was actually trying to press the fruit and say it's real or not. But to that Ritvik who wanted an answer, what that word means, he is that Lord, Supreme Lord, is actually explaining the entire lineage of the word. So
beautiful.
In fact, just to add to what Raju was
I wanted to just translate that Telugu what he said, Nijama, that translate that for people.
It's true. It's a real. It's a real fruit.
Yeah.
So actually, Swami from behind, he pressed that fruit.
Yes.
And immediately turned towards you and said to you that it is true.
It is true.
So he responded to your prayer inside mind thoughts.
Yes.
So it's a beautiful. Thank you very much.
In
yes,
fact,
Chandra, you were saying something.
Continue to Raju's. In fact, that he answers the questions, that those doubts in our mind. That is the way he reveals us. In fact, even after that experience, I always thought it was a hallucination. The reason why I never shared that with anyone was because, being a physics student, I always believed it was a hallucination. Even in the diary I wrote, it is a hallucination.
Jagadish, allow me to take over from here. Sorry, because that day, so foolishly, I narrate this experience, and then I end that speech saying, even today, the brother of ours, the student of Swami, is not sure whether it is a hallucination or not. And immediately Swami asked me to stop. I was wondering, I was to go on, but he said to stop. So I stopped. Then Swami asked for the mic. The mic comes on, and you can listen to the discourse. It's the second sentence in the discourse. Swami says, "The boy, before this, the boy spoke, but that boy, even to this day, has a doubt whether it is real or not. But it is Swami's grace, and it is Swami brought him down to give him that experience." Yeah, Jagadish, you can continue. God himself comes to you.
Absolutely, brother. Means I'm actually in one way, Ranganath, I'm beholden to you, because this doubt would have remained in my heart forever. And see, with all of this, it's such a foolishness in our mind that we keep doubting him. Every time we keep doubting him. And he's the one who's actually trying to give us that lesson that, no, I gave you that experience. So that is an amazing experience that cannot be, shared. Absolutely.
Umar, I want to bring you in for this. Pardon me if I sound a little intruding and personal, but just it's a big curiosity also that you came from that different background, and certainly as you said that you take permission from the mosque also, so that shows that you had that conservative environment, and here you land up wherein you have to chant Vedas every day, and not chant them, nobody's forcing you, but you are in an environment which is chanting Vedas every day.
Right.
And you have a concept of God and the format of worship. What was your challenges? Did you find that conflict and how did you resolve it?
Yeah, yes, brother. So initially there was a conflict. So at least in if you go through the Quran, so it says that Allah is Almighty, so He's formless, so and He's omnipresent and omnipotent. So these are the definitions of Allah in Quran. It was given. So when I read that, I used to imagine Allah as someone who is above all, like he is in sky and he will respond to your questions and he can do anything. So this was my concept of God before joining to Parthi. So but after joining to Parthi, I have seen there is a person walking and all are falling on his feet saying that he is God. So I was thinking, I know Ganesha, I know Vishnu, I know Shiva. So these characters I know. But what is this new character? There is something called Sat Sai Baba, but nowhere it is documented. But these people are falling on his feet. So and then I was thinking, okay, maybe he's kind of a celebrity, maybe, or kind of a guru. Because of that, people are falling on his feet. But later I came to know that he is considered as God. So after 1 or 2 months, I came to know that he is considered as God. Then I was thinking, no, God is someone who is omnipotent, omnipresence, and no form. But here they are saying that God is in human form. So how it can possible? Then I started recollecting Shirdi Sai Baba. Then I started recollecting Jesus. So I don't know whether these are God or not, but even they are in initially human form. Then later people realize that they are God. So maybe I started giving some points to Swami, saying that okay, fine, I'm believing. Okay,
I
I'm
like
giving
that.
some points.
Started giving points to Swami.
Yeah. I'm giving some points. Okay, I'm giving some points, thinking that because you're in parallel with Shirdi Sai and Jesus and Krishna like that, so I'm considering okay, fine. But later on in 2010, 2009, Swami himself started saying that don't get attached to this body, so this body is not permanent, so this atma, that is the true nature, so that is the God. Then so I started thinking, and even in discourses Swami used to tell Ishavashamidam Jagat Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam. So God is there everywhere. So even in a small molecule God is there. So he's formless. Don't bind him to a particular form. Then I started my first concept. My first concept was God is formless. Now what Swami is telling, God is formless. So I was able to connect these two. So the conflict which I thought there was, it got broken. So it was like that, brother. So my concept of God was and is.
So you were to reconcile the form, and so now today when you are, I believe because you are, how did you reconcile with the Vedam chanting going on?
Vedam chanting, if you see the Vedam chanting and the namaz, both are kind of, I should not say whether I can say that or not, both are kind of in same tune kind of thing, right? So when they are giving in Haza or when the namaz was chanting in a proper way, so it will be similar to what Vedam was. So, and I read somewhere when you're reading, and people like you told me that when you're reading Vedam, it activates your body and it activates your cells, right? So, same way happens during the namaz also. So, I can see there's a parallelism between what Hindus do and what Islam do. So, basically, it is nothing but what good for human is just narrated in both religions. That's what I just see.
When you were in hostel, let me just
Mhm.
digress a little bit. When you were in hostel, and as you are talking about Ramadan days, uh,
Mhm.
there is a strict discipline you have to maintain. So,
Yes,
did you
exactly.
think that by coming to Perthi, was that disturbed, or did you get any, like, resistance of doing those things? How was your experience in practicing what you're supposed to practice as you are doing before? Can you do it now?
So I was just sharing the same thing even with my some of my friends. So before coming to Patti, I have never uh, done Ramjan fasting nor uh, namaz. So I used to do namaz, but not as I used to do in Patti, right? So I, after coming to Patti, after seeing Swami, then when I realized that every person should follow their religion, at the same time you have to respect other religion, then I started following what Islam says. So I started fasting. So along with me, even other Hindu boys, they used to get up early morning 4 o'clock. By 5 o'clock they used to have food. and again evening 6:30 they used to break fast along with me. So it was like Sahana Bhaktu, Sahana Bunattu. Let's grow together. Let's work together and grow together. Like that it was. So in hostel I used to be alone the first year. So then other boys came. Don't worry, we are there with you. So even we will get up with you. We will fast with you. And the other boys used to cook for us. So they used to get up at 4 o'clock. By 4:30 they used to prepare food for us, and we used to have that. And directly by 5 o'clock we used to go for prayer. That is Suprabhatam. So if you see, it's not only me, brother. Even the other boys, they practice everything. So they have done the Ramadan fasting. They have done the namaz also. So it's an amazing experience. We have done namaz in front of Swami in Kulavant Hall together. So we offered our namaz to Swami.
So
So
you
yeah,
feel that
brother.
you have become a better Muslim after becoming a student?
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm complete Muslim or not, but I became better. That much I can say for sure. It's all Swami's grace. So I started doing namaz, then I started following Ramadan fasting. I started reading Quran, so which was not doing before.
Beautiful.
Yes.
So I believe, I'm sure your parents must not be unhappy with your coming, and now when you are back to your home, do
Hmm.
you what do you practice? Like, I'm sure, did you learn Vedas or something like that? Because everybody chants there in school.
uh, when I was in hostel, I used to go more for jogging. So morning 6:30 to 7 o'clock there was a slot. So either you can go for Vedam or you can go for jogging. That is up to you. So because I am interested in more of athletic things, so I used to go for jogging. But because I sat in Mandir for 7 years by listening to Vedam continuously, the unknowingly it got into me. So when they were chanting, so it was like I also used to chant together. Whether I am perfect or not, that is secondary. But I used to chant that. And when I realized Swami, I think in 2009 or 10, Swami used to make us chant Rudram every day. And he used to call one of the senior boys and then give mic and then ask us to teach Rudram. So even in hostel also they used to teach Rudram. So I realized the value of Rudram. Then I started learning Rudram. Now I don't know all the Anvakas, but I got to know 6 Anvakas, and those 6 Anvakas and Rudra Suktam. So Sri Suktam and Rudram, and followed by the starting Ganesha. So these
So
three
did
every
you
day.
did you learn? Did you read Quran or not? Let
Yes,
us. You read
not
Quran
completely.
too?
No, no,
Okay.
no, no, no,
Not completely. I think you
not
must finish
completely.
that. That is a
Yeah, I
divine
just started.
instruction for you.
Yeah,
So,
it's
brothers,
Swami's grace.
sure. Brothers, most of us, like, when you are with Bhagwan, and you will agree with me that none of us had any conscious awareness of what is happening to us. And many of our learning, what we have grown in life, learning from Bhagwan is very, I call it a default function, right? And that becomes an interesting thing that later on, after years and decades, we realize what we have. And that's a journey in itself. How do you, but there is, as Swami says, no, you have to become his message. How do you propose, or how do you convey that message and learning to the public, to the, especially your children, your environment? How do you do that?
Uh, Brother, that's a very important question that all of us have to ponder over in our lives. After one of the dramas, Swami had called me. So there were 40 actors who were actually sitting on the stage. This is Patyatra drama, and like anything that Swami has done, it starts like a small tricklet, just a trickle, like the Ganges, and it goes on as the flow goes. It becomes the mighty Ganges, and one day it becomes the sea. It becomes the ocean. Same was the case with these dramas and the corridor program. It just started with those boys speaking. One boy, then became two boys, then became a corridor program, then became good dramas. Now, if you look at the way these dramas and the programs have taken over, every Partyatra, devotees have been putting a program after program, and these programs, these dramas are actually instruments that transform them. And for doing those dramas, they would approach us, they would come to us, they would seek our help. Like brother Umar and me, we keep help. Brother Umar helps many of the dancing girls and boys, and I help in writing the scripts. I keep, and Jagdish helps in all the alumni dramas. So we are kind of associated with this form of drama for two reasons. One, it takes us back to those moments when we spent with Swami. Second, it transforms us very deeply. So after one of these dramas, when 40 boys were sitting, Swami called me and said, "Tell each and everybody that when you do a drama for Swami, it is not a drama, it is a yajnam, it is yagam, it is yajnam, it is yagam." So I just turned and said, Swami instructs me to tell everybody that yajnam. Swami said, no, go and tell every person individually so that they should remember for their lifetime. Yajnam Yagam, just to probably one or two lines I'll finish. There was one drama which talks of Krishna's flute. So I was writing it for one of the districts, and that struck me so deeply, that Yajnam Yagam. So I was writing it with so much purity of thought, word, and that deed. And I would see around in my room, bachelor room in Bangalore, I would see that small little Krishna running around. And that's why in fact we named my son as, why we call him as Kanaya, that small little Krishna. Now, in fact, when the drama was put up in Kulwant Hall, there was a problem with one of the actors, so he could not do well. So I went to apologize to Swami, saying that, Swami, sorry, the drama is not coming well. Even before I could start my apologies, Swami cut me and said, Palita Mandindara. He said, "Did you get the fruit?" I was not able to understand what Swami is meaning. Swami said, "You saw him? No, you saw Krishna Chusaka, you saw Krishna, no?" That is when I realized this, when he says Yajnam Yagam, that Yajna Phalam is that transformation. It is same is the case with Jagdish. I mean, how that Lord was shown to him and how he is prepared. And I'm sure same is the case with Brother Umar. And if you look at these actors, the boys, these devotees who have not seen Swami, who have not heard Swami, who have not felt Swami, but the way they get transformed in their lives. There was one particular boy from Srikakulam. He was supposed to be acting as Max Muller. And one day I told him that, Swami is not bothered about your acting, you're not bothered about your costumes, he's bothered about your bhavam. Offer that bhavam to Swami. And for 90 days, this boy did something, and finally when the drama was put up, this boy actually slumped on his knees to deliver a dialogue. Swami was so touched. The Swami called him, created a very thick chain, blessed him, and kept tapping his knees, saying, I know. He's an MBBS gold medalist doctor. And says, I know, I have seen. I am not able to understand what is happening between Swami and this boy. And this boy leaves the entire drama in between, comes back and hugs me and starts crying, saying, Anna, I want to tell you something. I said, no, you cool down, you go and finish the drama. So the drama gets over. Then he comes to me. We ask him what happened. That is when he pulls up both his trousers. There was nothing like kneecaps. I mean, he was doing on his knees every day morning 3 to 5, 108 pradakshinas around the Srikakulam Mandir. What made this materialistic, he was apparently materialistic doctor, to be a saint who did that tapasya? This drama is actually it's a transformatory thing that has happened to many of the boys. In fact, I remember one of the Vidya Vayani dramas where we went to to select actors, and there was one very shy boy who was not able to speak. When we made him stand, I remember his knees were shivering like that, and somehow his face cut was so good for Narada that we made him Narada. He said, "You don't worry, you'll just be Narada." And the drama got over. It came out very well. The Swami's grace, everything went off well. Then in December, we went to that school to thank everybody for the wonderful drama that they had put up. And 3,000 kids, entire school was packed. And we spoke. And then the principal asked, does anyone else want to speak? Is any student ready? And this boy raises his hand. I was so shocked. This boy comes up, stands on the stage, and delivers a thundering speech for 5 minutes. This was the same boy whose knees were shivering when he had to stand up for Narada, and now he is standing there and addressing the 3,000 boys. That transformation is drama. That transformation is what Swami brings to drama.
Jagdish, let me ask you a question, and others can join in. Somebody had really pointed out this question to me, and I thought it will be appropriate to ask you. people have this concept that you students are engaged in so many extracurricular activities. And like you mentioned, during the exams, also Bhagwan made you do plays. So, don't you think that those things have impacted your education, which was supposed to be the prime thing in the school days as a student? And did it not hinder you? And did you all score well in the school? I don't know. So that's the question. Like, was it not hindering you to be a good student? So if you
So,
could explain.
so I think Swami was much ahead of our times. Means today, if I look at school for my kids, and we want to put them in a good school, they charge a fortune for teaching them something like a dramatics or some kind of a debate or exposing them. Just imagine what Swami gave us. He gave us all of that, and what kind of a platform. Means even for a corridor drama, if you turn the other way and look, there are 8,000 people sitting. Who can give you that kind of an exposure? And I got to know about this quite late in life. There is something called as the left brain and the right brain. One part of the brain is responsible for your creativity, and the other part of your brain is more for your empirical knowledge, or makes you think in the traditional way. Swami has always emphasized that in youth, at that point in time, we have tremendous capacity. It's just that the channelization or the channeling of the mind and energies at that point in time has to be in the right direction. I hope I have, professionally, I think I'm doing decently okay. Means, if I look back at myself, yeah, I did so many dramas and these and that, and today I sit on top of something like 12 patents. I have it on under my name, but what he has very subtly given each one of us is the ability to think differently and creatively. That ability will never leave you. That is his touch in you, no matter what you do, because through that medium of dramas, through making you speak in public, he made you to think. He made you to think differently. That only God can do. They say that, right? You can make a man laugh. It's very easy. It's slightly more difficult to make him cry. To make him speak is even a more little difficult. To make a man think, it's impossible. He made us think at that point in time. And probably in that way, he enabled us to develop those thinking faculties which are becoming the backbone of our professional existence, to be able to score professionally. And even in that point in time, we all were O graders, got fantastic marks.
Exactly.
Never ever did we struggle for marks. Means with all of that commotion, with all of that getting up, we barely studied for 2 hours. Deep down within, this is where the concept of God, brother, comes into picture. It is not just our action, but something from within that changes us. Something that is giving us that ability to do all of this, and at the same time study physics and accountancy and mathematics and English and whatnot. And
in fact, those exams that when Jagadish was saying, and just to add on, the exams where we were asked to put up the dramas, my CGPA was 4.96 out of 5. A loss of 0.04. I just missed a gold medal by that 0.04. That every day we would put up drama. And almost
and that Ranga, I would like to add, and that when you did not know English properly when you joined.
Yes.
And Omar, what about your results?
Yeah, brother. I just want to reframe the question which you are asking. Right, you are saying the does this curriculum activities has any impact on your studies? So I say that the curriculum activities helped us a lot to gain more marks in our education. I say how it is. Initially, as I was telling, in 2006 when I joined, so I was nervous to face even 10 boys to stand in front of them and then deliver a speech or to speak something about. But during dance time, you have to stand on a stage and then you have to face, as Jagadish brother was telling, even for a corridor program, minimum 8,000 people you have to face. So the first quality what I can learn from dance is the confidence. So stand in front of audience and then deliver it. So that's what Swami taught us through this dance. And the second thing is, when a song is put up, you have to think about steps, right? So there is called the creativity. So you have to create steps. So we thought it's a curriculum activities which is coming in between you and your studies, but it is helping you to grow. So the qualities like confidence, creativity, and work together, the bonding, right? So it's not only you moving forward, you have to pull your brother. So you know the steps. Now you have to teach others, right? So the what we call the bonding. So these are the qualities which we could learn through these curriculum activities, brother. And these are the what we have learned in institute. But after coming out of institute, now as Swami was mentioning the earlier days, it's not only teach boys, it's train boys. So train means, so you have to train boys to teach, to go out and teach other boys. So that's what currently we are doing. So we are just going to some things, and then whatever we can, the small steps, even the ABCDs of dance, we are just teaching them, even in the form of. So when last time I remember for the Swami's 80, I think 90th birthday, so I was teaching Ramakatha to our Samiti people. So they don't know anything about Rama, nothing about Sita. So but
You
when
were
that,
teaching Ramakatha to your Samiti.
yeah, I was teaching Ramakatha in my committee. So
Beautiful.
Swami used to ask so many times. So I thought, okay, for Swami's 90th birthday, this will be the right concept to take. So I have taken that, and when I was teaching, so they were asking, brother, who is Hanma? Or brother, who is Sita? And who is Lakshmana? What Lakshmana has done? So I was telling what Lakshmana has done and what is the quality we should take out of that, and what we have to learn from each character. So it's not only the story they're learning the inner significance of each character there. So if you see, it started with dance, but dance is not exactly moving your body. So it has taught us the confidence, it has taught us the innovation, it has taught us the group working, it has taught us the inner learning, the inner significance of each character. So that's what the dance is, brother. Say all about for me.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't feel like stopping, but I want to respect the time also. So, it's such an amazing blessing to hear you all share so much. And I know each one of you is capable to continue for the night. But unfortunately, we have a time constraint. I want to respect that. But before I close, I would just invite you to say one closing statement or any message you would like to leave the audience with.
So I would just take the first shot at it. In the Nyaya philosophy, there is something called as Gunakshara Nyaya. Guna means the termite, and Akshara means a word. Sometimes the termites, in their pursuit of digging, they don't know what they're digging into wood, but suddenly you realize that it has made a phenomenal ohm, a beautiful structure like ohm. And now you have all the wood at your disposal. You can get all the best quality of termites or the best species of termites. You cannot replicate that ohm. It just happened. Now all that you have is the ohm in front of you. That experience that Swami gave each one of us, I don't think it can ever be recreated, but there is a symbol that he has left behind. Probably we were like those termites. We were trying to do something we thought, and a masterpiece, he made it through us. Today, we don't know if we can recreate it, but we have a symbol. We have those memories. We have an ideal in front of us. And the best thing that we can do is that try to live those ideals that he has shown us. If he has talked us about Indian culture and philosophy, go back, look at that, understand in its depth, because it was for that he taught each and everything, to inculcate those good qualities. So this is what I would say. Yeah.
Okay. So, Brother Raju, give us a, a quick statement, a message, a churning of your learning from Bhagawan, a message for all of us.
Brother, with my little experience in these drama forms, I have realized one thing, that he is there with us in every step, in our every breath. We just need to be aware of the presence. We just need to be aware of him being a partner with us. For one of the dramas we had, one of the convocation dramas, we thought we made a corporate story, and we proposed it to Swami. Swami that year did not take it up, but we took it up for, he allowed it for 80th birthday. So it was supposedly a corporate story, and quite a different story. We thought, with our imagination, we carved a new story. And after the drama was put up, uh, Narsimut, one of the warden was he was kind of directing it. Then one of the senior alumni comes rushing to him and says, "Sir, where did you get this story?" He said, "Why? This is a boy. This is a story that boys have created." So, do you know this drama story is my life story? And he comes back to us and says, "Boys, did you ever meet him?" I said, "No, sir." The next day morning, Swami comes to three, four of us, and then he makes that comment saying that, "Did you meet that particular boy who wrote the story?" He asked the warden. That is when we realized that we are just puppets playing out the act that is already done. That's already there in front of us. We just need to trust him and take us forward.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Umar, final words from you.
Yeah, brother. I just want to say thanks for everything, and I just want to end with a bhajan. So, for all the audience, I'm not a singer, and I may go wrong with my lyrics, but whenever I sing this bhajan, I just feel very good. So I just want to end with that.
Sure.
साक्षात् परब्रह्म साई गुरुवन्दना सत्य साई साक्षात् परब्रह्म साई गुरुवन्दना सत्य साई गुरुपदरञ्जन गुरुपरमेश गुरुब्रह्मादुलु विष्णुमहेश सद्गुरु साई पर्तिपुरीश सद्गुरु साई पर्तिपुरीश शरण नमोस्तुते साई महेश शरण नमोस्तुते साई महेश साक्षात् परब्रह्म साई गुरुवन्दना सत्य साई.
Thank you so much, brothers. I really offer my grateful pranams to Bhagawan at his lotus feet for giving us such a beautiful opportunity to reminiscence and relive those golden moments. And I really thank you from bottom of my heart, all three of you brothers, for taking your time out and giving us this joyful experience of listening to the beautiful stories of Bhagawan. So thank you very much.
Sairam,
And
brother.
all the audience, Sairam to everybody, and thank you for joining us. And this video will be available on the channel. Feel free to send your comments and suggestions, and feel free to share. The glory of Lord will continue. Thank you so much. Sai Ram.
Thanks, Habib.